I want to go fast with the F-150.
Okay.
What does that look like?
Do you want to be limited to just one power adder? You have way more options. What they're doing right now on these untunable platforms, blowing my mind what they're doing. Wait for proper tuning. Why is it better to have a flat plane crank? What is it going to do for you? Except the sound. Oh man, this thing has a flat plane crank. Ever since the Mustang was introduced, it has never had a year that it was not made. They sold 5,000 cars since the beginning of the year.
Is that baby oil?
I don't know what you're talking about, man. It's just a shirt.
Want to see what didn't make it into this episode with Alex Flores? Click the join button below to become part of the Alpha fam and unlock exclusive bloopers, behind the scenes content, your own member badges, emojis, and much more. Welcome back to another episode of the Street Alpha Podcast. I'm your host, Tukes, and today we are in Florida. We are in West Palm, or where are we at right now?
Lake Worth.
South
of West Palm, a little
South
bit.
Florida, right? Which is not where I'm from. But I was just telling Alex that when you come to South Florida, it feels like you're in Florida. You see palm trees. It's just much nicer in South Florida.
You said it smells like money down here.
It does. Yeah, no, it's just the air. Remember we were talking about the air?
Then it smells good over here.
Yeah, you don't get that smell up north.
No.
So we have the pleasure of sitting with Alex again. This is part 2. Mm-hmm. You guys loved the first episode. A lot of good feedback on that one. Aside from that, how have you been since the last episode?
Good. A lot of changes going on in the tuning world, especially on the Ford side of things.
Okay.
We can talk about 24 Mustang and stuff, but I work for Lund Racing and it's busy. It's just, I thought it was going to slow down. I'm like, 24 Mustang's not tunable. It's going to slow down. No, apparently everyone bought the previous platform that's still, able to be tuned, and we could talk about that later, but busy, just slamming away at tuning. Couple of projects. If people follow me, they know the project that I'm messing with. And same old thing. Living the dream in Florida. You know how it is, man. You got down here.
I'm here now. I'm deep in. Pause. So before, so the people who haven't watched the last episode, which you guys should check that out, just real quick, tell them what you do and who you are.
Okay, my name's Alex Flores. I work for Lund Racing. We specialize in the modern Ford platform. So anything Mustang, F-150, some Explorer. We don't really go into the Explorer stuff, the ST, and we don't really mess with EcoBoost stuff. If you got a V8 and you got a Ford, we are the guys that are going to make you run the best tuning, the quickest, the quickest reply time, the best quality. I got into tuning basically from talking shit on the internet, basically, and they noticed me and they liked me, and we just kind of like got along really good. And it's been 10 years, believe it or not, it's gonna be 10 years.
Long years.
Since 2015, it was when I moved to Florida to work for Lund Racing, and I've been here ever since, working remotely, shutting the hell up, looking down, doing my job, and just having a good old time. But yeah, honestly, it's been wild, kind of like getting into the tuning game and getting into the nitty gritty, and becoming a person of authority is weird because I'm more introverted, but which is, you wouldn't think that based on what you see my stuff, but because I come from a place of authority, I try to use that wisely. I try not to steer people the wrong direction. I try to, my goal is to know what you want to do and get you to the best outcome, the quickest way, the straightest line possible. I'm not here to like nickel and dime you because I get paid a salary. Yeah. So Lund pays me the same amount every month, regardless of how many people I tune or not. So I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it just to make sure the customer's happy.
Right. Super. So Alex is super controversial. I've heard from some people that came up to me, and some of you guys may not like him. Some do. A lot of people actually do. It's only like 2 people that said something, but it wasn't anything bad about who you are. It's just like the content that you post on social media.
Got it.
But I enjoy it. Right. I watch it. Like sometimes I would pop in there when I'm editing, some of the clips.
Yeah, I see you on the lives all the time. Not all the time, but I see you on them. I participate.
Yeah, because it's just nice to have like in the background of like when I'm working or if I'm not listening to music or whatever, I can just pop the stream on. And
the podcasts are nice just to have in the background. If you're going for a long drive, it's just entertainment. That's all it is.
The only time it's a concern is when I hear Diddy noises in the background. And my girl walks in the room and asks me if what I want to eat for dinner, and that pops on. It's like
the Diddy Meek Mill clip. It has ruined people's like, oh my god, I got to turn this off. And I play it.
I'm like, what the hell is going on, dude?
It's
I have to switch over to the screen. Like, what this guy doing now?
Yeah, it's usually the podcast is car centric, but it's the show is car centric, but comedy.
Yeah.
Look, I gotta laugh, and if I'm not having fun, then it might as well.
No, it's entertainment. So I know we were talking before. We had a conversation while I was setting up all the equipment, and I mentioned to you that I'm super interested in buying a F-150. Right now, I'm in Florida now. For some reason, I feel like I need a truck, and an F-150 is on
your radar.
Is on my radar for
Right.
sure. So I figured, why not ask you about what the options are, if it makes any sense, what the future looks like for the F-150, or where we are right now with tuning capabilities and so on.
Okay.
So I want to buy a 24, let's say. I guess that's considered brand new, right?
Yeah.
It can be, because if you go to the dealership, you're still going to have
Still
a
have
brand
a
new
leftover
24,
24,
right?
yeah.
I want to go fast with the F-150.
Okay.
I want to have a Whipple on it, right?
Okay.
So what does that look like today?
Okay, so Whipple offers, I think it's called the FP700 package on the new 24 F-150s. 24. When I say 24, and everyone that references 24 is the newest. So
Right.
it's like the Gen, I think it's 5 on F-150 and 4 on Mustang. So the F-150 comes with the FP700 package. I'm not sure if you can get a stage 1 or 2. I think it's just the FP700. I think it's still limited to 130 miles an hour. So you're not going to go 155 in a truck. They're just not going to let that happen. Now, the problem is this. I don't think there's as much, I want to say, desire to go fast in a 24 Whipple F-150 as there is with a Mustang.
Okay.
So, and don't quote me on this, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the tunes that are on Mustangs aren't, not everyone gets the same tune. I think there's R&D tuning that maybe Whipple pushes out and says, on the Mustang, this guy's going to go 8. He wants to push it, yada, yada. On the F-150, I don't think that that's even an option, to be honest with you, because it's a Ford performance package that I think it's cookie cutter. Now, there's good and bad for that, right? There's warranty. There's more power than stock.
Right.
But then every time warranty pops up, you know that the performance is going to be limited.
Correct.
Just like Roush used to have warranty packages, the car will make 700 or 620 horsepower on a dyno, but it won't perform as if it has that horsepower.
Yeah.
All the torque reduction is active. The 10R80 is pissed off. It's burping. It's farting in between the shifts, but it makes power.
Right.
So then I usually, if a customer comes up to me and says, Alex, I want to get a 24 F-150 with a Whipple, should I get it? I go, what do you want to do? What is the case use for this vehicle?
Right.
Is the case use, I'm going to daily and just have a little more oomph? Perfect. Perfect. But I have never in my life seen a factory supercharged car like catalytic converters. It's just not a thing.
Okay.
I've literally never seen it in my life. Every single time I see a factory supercharged car that makes good power, the catalytic converter hates it. It stinks. The only car I think that is factory supercharged and actually the cat lived longer than a couple of laps is the 2020 GT500, because the exhaust is huge.
Right.
But when it comes to the F-150, do you think they put a different catalytic converter in a Whipple F-150 than they do from NA?
No.
It's the same exhaust.
Same, yeah.
So now you're pushing a lot more heat. The trucks should be going into what they call catalytic over temp protection, which is dumping fuel, and then that tuning has to happen at the right time. Now let's 30,000 foot view. You're towing a boat up a hill.
Okay.
Right? And the boat's heavy and you got a Whipple on that sucker. And at 4,500 RPMs, this thing is making boost, but it's not enough RPM for that boost to kind of make sense. So the spark is low. Everything gets pissed off, right? Depending on how heavy what you're towing is.
Right.
Is this a good case use for this F-150? Probably not. You're probably just better off getting an EcoBoost because it's turbo. It's load dependent. The F-150 is pulleys running a certain RPM. It is what it is, right?
Right.
So I would say, what's the case use? If you're never going to tow and you want a sporty little truck with a warranty, get a Whipple F-150. It's going to be good. If you want to get after it, don't get a Whipple F-150 because I think you're limited as to what you can do to that specific vehicle. But if the case use is a daily that you tow, that you do everything with, the family car, get the NA truck. Get the stock ass truck. It's plenty quick. It's 10R. It's NA. You can tow. You can do anything. You're not going to blow it up. Not that you're going to blow up a Whipple car, Whipple truck. But if you're going to tow stuff and do more stuff with it, an NA truck I think is more versatile than a Whipple truck. I think a Whipple is a performance truck.
Right.
And you do performance stuff with it. You don't tow a boat. And I've had many customers that have built a truck, their only truck, right? Because are you going to get a regular cab Like, do you just want a regular cab, a 2-seater, basically?
So that was the next thing that I was kind of trying to figure out, because I love the way the front end looks.
Right.
I'm more into
It's
looks than also
badass.
performance.
It's the
a
best
beautiful
looking
truck.
truck,
Yeah.
right.
But do I really want to be in a single cab kind of truck? Like, it's badass looking.
Yep.
But if I want to go to shows, like you said, what is the use of it, right? So for me, it's going to be going to car shows, having my car on the back of it as well.
Right.
And then also, if I want to, do some hits or whatever, I can do that.
Right.
But majority of it's going to be for like daily use, I guess, for the most part.
There is no throwing something to the back. It's the bed.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right? So
saying.
you're like, it's
tough.
I've driven a quad cab, or they call it not RCSB. I think it's a super crew. So a screw. They call it super cab, regular bed, or something like that.
Is it an extended where it's like the
Short bed.
so it's like the door opens up in the back?
No,
way?
it's a full door.
Oh, it's a full door. Okay,
four-door,
okay.
quad cab. Let's just
Quad
call
cab,
it quad
okay.
cab.
A dual cab, whatever
but a
you
short
call it,
bed, like a 5.5-foot bed or something like that. I've driven that. Actually, one of the videos I raced one and went 11-1 TVS, but it hated life. It really did not like life going down that track. It was just the transmission was doing a bunch of stuff. You could tell it was struggling with the weight of the truck.
Yeah.
It's a Coyote. It's a 5-liter Coyote. It's not a big inch push rod,
Mm-hmm.
anything. So I think if you're going to want to do a lot of stuff with it, you get not the regular cab. I had a regular cab. I hated it. I hated the regular cab because I found myself needing to throw something in the back. I don't want to throw something in the bed and then have to secure it from rattling around. Then you have to have all these little things to segment and to lock things in. And I'm like, this is so stupid. I drove around that truck with an empty bed for a year or two waiting on a kit, a supercharger kit that people were going to develop that never happened. So I said, okay, let me throw a turbo kit on it. And then that turbo kit didn't happen. Then I'm like, I don't like this truck. I'd rather, so I ended up buying an SUV. And I throw stuff in the back all the time, and I tow all the time, and it's got massaging seats, and it's got ventilated seats, and I'm like, this is what I want. Yeah. So so to be honest with you, I am blown away, mind blown, that Ford has not introduced like a competitor to like the Cadillac. They give you the Expedition, but it's a twin turbo EcoBoost thing.
Yeah. Nobody
The reason I got into a GM is because it has a V8, and I can just tow with it. NA, and it's great. And Ford never did that, and I'm blown away that they never went that route. So, to all that just to say, I don't think a blown RCSB, especially a 24 version, which you can't tune, aftermarket stuff, is not a good daily do everything vehicle. I think it's better just to get an NA truck, quad cab, and just live a happy life. Still looks good. It's bigger, and if in the future tuning becomes available, your options open. Now you can twin turbo it, you can centrifugal, you can do the Whipple, but an aftermarket tune to complement it. So I think you could live with it for a couple of years, and if tuning comes around, you could just throw a Whipple on it later. Because you know how expensive those FP700s are? Like, well, they're selling them at a discount, but it's only the regular cab version. So you're getting a little tiny truck.
Right.
And you're paying $65,000 or more. And you're like...
Yeah, I think it was. I think he priced it out. It was actually they were hooking it up.
Oh,
they had some deals going on.
Okay,
I think it was like.
But was it like was it like the work truck that they just slapped wheels on? Like it wasn't the nice screen. It wasn't the nice interior.
No, so all the new ones come with that big. Well, I think it has like the big CarPlay screen and everything, which is really nice. It comes with like those steelies. It's not like those bullshit, but nothing fancy. They don't really have too many big options for the single cab though. It's just like because it's technically a work truck.
It is,
right? So aside from that, I think it's just the performance aspect of it of adding the Whipple. But
right.
Other than that, you're getting a regular truck with no fancy wheels or anything like that. There's not too many options for it. But I think it's still a great platform to. It's more of like a foundation. If you want to have that performance truck, you can buy that. But aside from that,
I think it's a toy. If you're gonna get a Whipple truck. RCSB, regular cab short bed, that's a toy. That's like one of these things where he just takes it out once a month or maybe on the weekend and have fun and make hits and make power. Every day, get yourself the quad cab, bypass the Whipple, and then when options open up where tuning and maybe different power adder options, safer options, you'll be like, okay, now I can just slap a Whipple on it or slap a Pro Charger or whatever you want on it. That's what I would do. Okay. But unless somebody wants, for whatever reason, a Whipple supercharged F-150 with a warranty, I don't think there's a big upside to paying that premium for what you're getting when you can just get that later.
Right. Okay, that's fair. That's
Right.
fair. So I did test drive the.
Like the Whipple one you test drove?
No.
Oh, wow.
I was. It was an extended cab. It had the V8, the 5.0 in it, and I was impressed. I never drove one before.
Okay.
And the RPMs were like the most like it was the coolest thing.
So
Like
you
it was.
Barry at 7 and you're like, what the
No,
hell?
seriously, on a V8 that was super impressive, and I'm like, there's no way this truck is like revving like this.
Did the tachometer go past 7? Did it show an 8? Because sometimes they just stop
I
at
didn't.
7.
That's why I was like, there's no way this thing is revving that high. But I honestly don't remember. I was driving it, and he went through all the modes with me. Yeah, I was just like, dude, what the hell? This is sick.
It's crazy to see it in like a race F-150, and the needle just it's gone. It's not even moving. The 7's the last number you see on some of them, but it's still revving. So the only way you can tell where it hits the shift is on a data log, and you're like, oh, it hit at 8,200, and way down here.
I just think that's insane for a car like that, and especially on like I want to say like a domestic vehicle. Like its imports are known to rev,
Right.
So it's like it was cool. So for me, it's like I think it was super relatable in that aspect for me because I'm an import guy.
Right.
But now I'm looking at the other features. I can't just look at that one aspect of it. Right.
Right.
So tuning. Right. That's the next step to it.
Elephant in the room. That is the biggest faux pas I think Ford did was to totally lock the tuning on those. We could talk about F-150 specific. So whatever happens on F1, okay, anytime tuning gets opened up, usually Ford tries something on an F-150 first. I'll give you an example. When in 11 and 14 F-150, they were MAF based, MAF. They had a MAF sensor. In 2015, they went MAP, and they've been MAP ever since. The Mustang did not go MAP until 2024. So they tried everything on the F-150 first, everything. They tried the MAP, they tried cylinder on demand. The 24 and up has, 21 and up F-150, excuse me, has cylinder on demand. So it has these little things that shuts off cylinders and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Mustang doesn't have that yet. So I think they try stuff there. The MG computer came out on the F-150 before the Mustang. So I think you're going to see whatever the future is F-150. And they go, okay, DOD, cylinder on demand, whatever, might end up in the Mustang.
Okay.
MAP is on the Mustang.
Now.
You know what I mean? Now.
Right.
So now you're going to, if tuning becomes available, I think it'll be on the F-150 first, but don't quote me on that.
That's crazy.
Actually, it's even way worse. The diesel guys gets it, which is another universe I don't even understand. But the diesel guys get it figured out first, bleeds down to the gas guys every time. Wild. Again, we can go off into like a complete different universe on diesel stuff, and you could tell diesel guys are like perking up like, what? It is a completely different universe on the diesel stuff. Because, for example, a 20, and I'm just an example, like an F350 and F450 have the same engine, but the F450 has a better tune because it's an F450. So it's towing more. So what were people doing? Using that tune, the F350.
Right.
And it would give it like another something pound-feet of torque. So that stuff might be bleeding down. And I think if it does bleed down, it'll hit F-150 first. And then if tuning becomes available, that opens up everything. But right now, it's not available.
Yeah.
So I tell people, okay, what do you want to do? You want to go fast today? Avoid the 24 at all costs.
Right.
If you're patient, get the 24. And tuning will become available, hopefully. Who knows when? But hopefully it'll become available sooner than later. I can't imagine it not. But we are in 2025, and 24 F-150s and Mustangs are still not tunable. And you go, why would I buy this? Why would I wait in a driveway? Because if you want to go fast, it ain't in a 24. I mean, certain guys are going fast. We'll talk about that later on. But I think it's one of those things where it all boils down to what do you want to do? If I were you and you like the revving and all and the features, get that extended or quad cab. It's so versatile. It's was the best selling vehicle in America for a while. And I think the Toyota Camry or something beat it, or something recently beat it.
Well, wasn't it still the best selling truck?
By far.
Okay.
But then, vehicle. So imagine a truck is Ford's bread and butter.
Yeah.
And they always go up in units sold. So I don't think you're gonna like lose money on that. I don't think you're gonna dislike it. If it's a highly optioned one too, like a limited or something, or platinum or Longhorn edition or whatever, you'll really like it. My boss had a F-150 forever. He had like 200,000 miles on it. Never had an issue. Just a great little truck. So if you want to use it just for utility, awesome. If you want to go racing, get a 23 and under.
They had different rear end options as well.
Okay.
But I'm not really sure if there's a massive difference or which one you would technically use for, I guess, racing. Would you want the higher gear ratio?
In my opinion, most guys that go really fast on a truck, they have a 331 gear. Remember,
331 gear.
It's a 10R80. So first is like 4 something, and then everything else is tightly packed.
Right.
If you're towing, I think you want the truck to work less hard out of the hole. So they offer you, I think, a 355. I'm not sure if they offer a 373. Don't quote me on that. The truck is still brand new.
I feel like
the higher numerical number,
Yeah.
the easier it takes off. So for towing, it makes sense. If you have 10 speeds and 373s, the thing is just going to glide down the road and not really struggle all that much. But then you still got to worry. Then you still have to deal with 10R80 problems.
Right, which is my next question. The consistency of the 1080 transmission.
Right.
And how consistent it is. I did hear from Joe, you guys all know Joe,
Shout out to Joe.
that the transmission has like this, I don't know what it's called, but it like learns how you drive.
Adaptive.
Adaptive.
Yep.
So I don't really know too much about it, but if you can kind of explain how the transmission works and if that has anything to do with the consistency of it.
So adaptive learning, I think, was instituted on Mustangs that, okay, I'm not going to speak out of when it was instituted because people go, oh, you know, it was January 29. Fuck. I noticed it on my Coyote Mustang. So you give the keys to your girlfriend for a week, let her drive your Mustang.
Okay.
And then you get it back. You're like, man, this pedal's long as shit. Why is this pedal so long? Because she's so easy on it.
Right,
She is
right.
easy on it. And then you get in it and you're like, and for a week and you're flooring it and you're power shifting. Then you give the keys back to your girlfriend. And she's like, Jesus, this thing is so touchy. This thing adapts to your driving style.
Okay.
So does the transmission. The transmission has pedal-based pressure, torque-based pressure. The valve body is the brain, and it has a bunch of solenoids in it clicking in and out, in and out, in and out. And it's adapting that driving habit, the pedal, all that stuff, adapting. The problem is, right? Let's say that there is an inherent issue with that adaptive learning process. Well, what can happen is over time, the adapting causes flaring. So let's say you're just driving down the road and things, and you've been driving it for a month and it's no problem. Then you come to a stop. Then it goes and you're like, I didn't do that. So then you're like, is it the tune? Well, it's a stock truck.
Right.
So you're like, well, it's not the tune. What is it? Could it be the adaptive has an inherent fault or flaw that it's not learning properly? Or could it be the viscosity of the fluids? Could it be the valves sticking? You know, there's 10 freaking gears. I think there's a threshold for gears, and I think it's 8. That's why the 8 HP is so badass. Like, I love the 8 HP that Dodge has, the ZF. Just love that. And I love that they're swapping it into
nice.
everything.
Yeah.
It's nice. So the 10 speed, I think it's just too much bullshit happening. It's just oncoming, offgoing, this solenoid, this pressure, this circuit goes to the converter. Converter has to lock, unlock, you know, and then turn. And then let's say if you're slowing down, let's say if you're in the middle of a lock, then you floor it. Now the fluid has to go back in, this, unlock, and the thing gets pissed off.
Too many
so I
moving
think
parts.
there's an inherent flaw to the adaptive. Now, even since 2018, I've noticed that no matter what you do, you can't really fix that in the tune. The only thing that I've seen that fixes it is resetting the adaptive, meaning forget everything. Reset adaptive. So there are on some devices the ability to go in there and do a trans relearn. And I noticed it on really high horsepower Mustangs when they started going on the track the first time, it was fine. The next one, it goes down the track and it doesn't shift properly. Then you listen to the burnout. You ever hear a burnout on a 10-speed? Woo! And then they let off and then get back on and it pissed off. Goes down the track, flares. I say do this. Reset the adaptive each time. Each time, reset the adaptive and it hits the shifts. Now that's not a fix. The 10R80 still has 10R80 issues.
Yeah.
But I think there's an inherent flaw in the adaptive programming from the factory that we don't have access to that lends itself to the 10R80 having 10R80 issues.
And
generally.
So there's no way or anybody, any companies or anything
They've
working?
tried. They've tried to make a valve body. They've tried to, shim the clutch pack differently. And I'm just like, I just think it's a inherent, what I call ghost in the machine. There is base programming on all these vehicles that we don't have access to. I don't have access to the logic to many of these things. Some do, some don't.
Right.
And there is something in that programming that I think is just causing issues, because there are competent transmission builders that I trust with my life that have terrible shifting transmissions going on the track. And I'm like, it's not your craftsmanship. There's something going on with this thing. There's just, and some people have tried to make valve bodies, valve body replacements, different sensors, different solenoids, different viscosity fluids. And then there's another issue with the viscosity of the fluid. That also can cause an issue with how the adaptive is. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Let's say you have an NA Mustang and you drive it like a grandma and it's all good. So the fluid is probably still going to be red, still going to be good. It's not going to be that viscous or have issues. Now let's say you have 1,000 horsepower Mustang and you got a built transmission with aftermarket clutches and you put new fluid in it and you're romping on it and the clutch material is making its way into the oil. It's making its way to the filter. So now let's say you've reset adaptive a couple of times. Now the oil looks a little darker.
Right.
And it has what I would say is friction modifier. It has clutch material in the oil and it gets in between the nooks and crannies and it actually grips. Now you do the genius idea of changing your oil. Brand new slippery oil, but your clutches are worn because you got 1,000 horse. And you go in and the first thing you go down the street, all you did was swap the oil. That's all you did. And then people go, well, there's an issue with the tune. No, you have taken away all of the friction material that was left in the oil, dumped it out, put fresh oil in it. Now the clearances are opened up, the tolerances are bigger, the oil is taking longer to get to certain paths, and it's causing flaring. So there's just like a book of issues with the 10R80 that I just go, Now, if you know the issues, you'd probably keep the truck stock, right? You're like, I'm not going to give it another 500 horse. I'm just going to chill out. Or you know the issues, and then okay, well, I'm not going to change the oil until I have to rebuild the trans. Right. And on a 1,000 horse, 10R80 is like a year if you beat it up a lot. So it's one of those things where I don't want to live that 10R80 life. It's just so labor intensive to like just maintain that thing that people just throw a 400 in it. And the fastest trucks have a 400. The fastest Mustangs have a 400. The 10R80 ones are fast, don't get me wrong, but they're inconsistent unless they're doing trans relearns, unless they're doing fresh rebuilds all the time.
Are a lot of these midnight trucks on the 10R80, or they're 400s?
A lot of them are. Manuel does a really good job with the 10R80 program that he has. He, in my opinion, was the guy that got after it the hardest on the 10R80.
Okay.
He did the most R&D on it, and I think his builds are probably right there. I just don't know that a full max effort 10R80 F-150 that he builds is going to be as consistent and quick in racing as a similar vehicle he builds with a turbo 400. Like the fast ones that he messes with, I think they're 400. I think his personal one is a 10R80. But he builds them, so he probably is okay with servicing them. Or like we talk about, he knows to reset adaptive. He knows to check. He knows all that. He knows all that.
He probably knows. Do you think there's anything else that he knows that we don't? Maybe.
Absolutely, because I don't know anyone that has a tight program that tells everyone their secrets.
Yeah, right.
Nobody. So I think he understands the nuances. He works with us with the tuning. But honestly, once you tune someone from his camp, they get it. Yeah. They get it. They got it. They got it down pat. It's not a problem. You don't have to like babysit them. They're really good at vetting their stuff. That's why they have the fastest, most consistent trucks. 100%.
Those guys are killing it.
But the 10R80 game is it's labor intensive, and you got to pay a lot of attention to it if you know what you're looking for. Okay. If you want a 10R80 truck, I think it's fine. Understand it'll have some quirks. Yeah. But as long as you're not putting an extra 500 horse into it, you'll be okay.
An extra 500.
I mean, you know what I mean, like from stock, like stock to, let's say, an FP700. I don't think you're gonna have an issue. You can drive an FP700 and not have an issue. But the moment you get after it and you get an aftermarket tune and you jack up the pressures and you want it to shift more firmly, you're gonna have to pay more attention to that 10R80 than normal. Right. A lot of people say the same thing. Hey man, these things hold 1,000 horsepower. And I'm like, all right, cool, on a dyno. On a dyno. But then you drive that sucker on the street, pushing a 4,500 pound truck, all bets are off. So just because it can make 1,000 horsepower on the dyno doesn't mean it's this Billy Badass transmission. On a dyno, there's no resistance. Yeah. On the street, it's over 4,000 pounds. It is pushing all that through wind on a dig, 4-wheel drive. It's just going to be super pissed off. So just understand that if you get a 10R80 vehicle, it's going to be labor intensive just to maintain it at high horsepower levels. Stock, I think you'll be okay for a while. You don't have to really worry about it.
Right.
Like for your case use, I would just get one, drive it, have your fun, use it, utility, and then throw a blower on it later on when tuning becomes available. Because what they're doing right now on these untunable platforms is blowing my mind. Blowing my mind what they're doing. Like they're borderline crazy, dangerous stuff. Like I'm like, I would never recommend, 20 PSI on a 55-pound injector. on 30% ethanol. I'm like, on a tune set for pump gas. I'm like, and some will say, well, it does it, it's fine. I'm like, okay, but I've seen the data logs and it's like, wait for proper tuning. Wait for proper tuning, please.
Well, how much more power gains are you getting out of it, like for it to be worth it for you to take that risk?
So if you want to go fast and cloud chase, you don't care if you blow it up, and nobody knows you blew it up. Would you ever tell anybody if you're cloud chasing, hey, I blew up 3 motors. I blew up 3 motors trying to run 8s,
That's a very commom thing.
Right.
Very common.
I blew up 3 motors trying to go 360 to 130. Nobody says that. They like, yeah. And they stunt. They're the king of the mountain. They're like, I got this. And then you're like, bro, I know you blew up 3 motors. Like right there. I see them. So just because you hear someone's success on no one posts their L's. How many people post their L's? They're like, yeah, man, I suck at tuning. I blew it up. No.
Yeah, it's fair. There's some people I'm sure they do, but like it's not practiced often.
Depends on the platform.
Yeah.
Right. I met some people that are like, yeah, I fucked up and I'll show you where I messed up.
Right.
Other people that love that clout, they're not like that. They're not built like that. So they're willing to do whatever. So because the platform is untunable, specifically on the Mustang side, they've done some pretty wild stuff to run an 8-second quarter mile. And then I look at that data log because it makes its way to me. And I'm like, if I was to look at that data log based on these parameters, I would say this thing's about to blow up. Just because it hasn't doesn't mean it won't.
Right.
People say, oh, it hasn't blown up. I've been driving it like this for a little while. Right. And then come fall, that crisp air demands a little more fuel and you go past the point of no return, you lean it out and there goes that. Just wait for proper tuning. That's why you can get that truck, drive it for a year, and if tuning becomes available, then you have so many supercharger options. You have way more options when tuning is available.
Not only supercharger, you can probably
turbo,
yeah.
Yeah. So right now, 24 and up Mustang and F150, specifically F150. Let's just talk that. Whipple.
Yeah.
ProCharger's supposedly coming out with something, but I haven't seen it on the street yet. But that's all you got. So your options are, and Whipple has special access through Ford. Ford and Whipple have a good partnership. So do you want to be limited to just one power adder? Right?
True. Yeah.
Right? You just want to go to one restaurant and they have one thing on the menu. This.
Yeah.
That's it. And you're like, I mean, it's good, but I might want something else. And some people want the NA game. Some people, for whatever reason, love NA stuff. Some people love centrifugal. Honestly, I would trust a centrifugal to tow a boat more than a PD blower. PD meaning positive displacement. Let's say, blower on top of engine.
Okay.
PD. Centrifugal off to the side. So ESS Vortec and ProCharger are centrifugals and they make great power at high RPM. As a matter of fact, if you were to tell me, Alex, what is the recipe to build a badass roll race car? I'm like, any centrifugal 10R80 car. I put all my money on that. I was talking to a guy the other day and he has like a 99 something Porsche. I don't know anything about Porsches, but it was like a
Me neither.
Right.
I'm not the only one.
It's right. I'm just like,
I'm not the only one.
Right. So he's like, oh, this thing is like a 4-second 60 to 130 car. And I'm like, whoa, that's fast. But then I'm going, so's an ESS 10R80 car. So is a Vortec 10R80 car. So is a ProCharger 10R80 car. Yeah. So you're like, $200,000? 70,000 at most, 50 for a used one, $1,000 full build. So you're like, what do you want to do? So you could do it on a truck. Let's say if I had a centrifugal on a truck, like a ProCharger, because I think ProCharger usually is like the first one to stick a centrifugal in a truck. Let's say you're towing up a hill. Well, that ProCharger makes any centrifugal, doesn't make a lot of nut down low because it's a turbo wheel on a belt. So if it's at 3,000 RPMs, it's making 2 PSI, 1. And, right, because the trucks are map based, you could literally have a blow off valve between the blower and the throttle body and just have it bleed off all the boost you want.
You get that cool sound,
and then get the wastegate control like a controller.
Yeah.
And then you can just shut it when you want to go, like a boost controller. You could boost control a Sentry setup if you want. So I think that's better, And then if you just want to do like highway roll stuff, your centrifugal is it. But the PD is down low, dig stuff. The Whipples, the TVSs, the E-Forces, the Roush blowers. Roush has a 24 F-150 with a Roush blower. I would not recommend that vehicle. And this is why. That blower has the intercooler under the rotors. Whipple has the intercooler on top of the rotors. So what happens is the air comes in, goes up, and it hits a dual pass, I think it's a dual pass, big, massive brick on top. That thing you see on the top of the Whipple, that's the intercooler. So it goes over that, and then it goes back into the engine. So it goes over this big, massive intercooler, then back into the engine. The Roush, it's on top, and it has a thin little intercooler, small surface area, and then it does this. It does this weird stuff at the bottom, and the IATs are way higher on a Roush setup than a Whipple. The Whipple has way better intercooling than a Roush specific supercharger. But the Roush makes a little more torque down low when it's cold. But when it's hot, all bets are off.
I've heard in the past on some previous podcasts, I can't remember which guest it was, but they don't really they're not a fan of Whipple. I'm not sure if it's because they've had issues. I know a friend of mine had issues with it sounds like there's rocks in there.
A Trackhawk.
A Trackhawk, yes. That's what it was. I don't know how So yes.
I have this weird recall. So the guy had rotor rubbing issue.
Okay.
Right? So what had happened was, I'm trying to be nice here. I'm trying to say it in a nice way. The Whipple makes a lot of power because of the tolerances being so tight.
Okay.
So let's say you're really getting after it. 20%, 2.4 upper, all the boost. Well, heat is going to happen.
Okay.
So, and now you're pushing a heavy ass truck, Trackhawk, whatever. And let's just say there have been ported versions. And when you port a supercharger, you weaken a lot of the bearing mounting points for the sake of more airflow.
Right.
So you massage, and then the rotors just rub. They have very tight tolerances. They're coming together like a paper thin tight tolerance.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then if you have any kind of like hiccup or a bearing starts to deflect, like a radial or axial load, it'll just
a little bit too.
Just a little bit. And I personally don't think there is a better blower for the Dodge world than a TVS. There's a twin screw, there's a Roots, and then there's a twin vortices supercharger. You started seeing that Kong has started making blowers for the Dodge world, the 2650, a 2.6 liter. And those things are making 1,500 horsepower. And you're like, how? What's a 400 and something cubic inch big beast of a motor underneath it?
Wow.
And they feed it 20 PSI and it loves it. And the boost graph, not the boost graph, the torque is like straight up like a 90-degree angle. It's like, not this gradual Whipple style. No, it's like boom, boom. So I think for the Dodge world, and bigger trucks like that, the TVS is a better fit. Whereas Whipple, I think, benefits smaller, higher revving engines like the Coyote. That's why you don't see the Whipple stuff pop off on the LS and Dodge world.
Yeah, that's right.
But they pop off on the Coyote world because of it's just favorable for that particular setup. But the problem is then, I wouldn't get anything above a 3.0. They have a 3.0, then they have a 3.8. That's just almost 4 liter of blower on top of it's like a motor on top of a motor, right? 3.8 liters.
Right.
I think the 3.0 is just right. The 3.0 whips up fast. It likes RPM. It has good torque down low. I don't think the 3.8 is worth it on a Coyote specifically.
Why not?
I just think it's too big and it takes too much power to pull it. It's just like, I'm yanking on this thing and it ain't doing shit, But let's say you have a 5.8 GT500 motor, old school. It's bigger, it's more robust. The 5.8 complements the 3.8. That's why the old GT500s, 13, 14, they have the 4 liter Kenny Bells, the 4 liter Whipples, the 4.5 liter Kenny Bells. And the Coyotes have 3 liters and 2 liters of blower and make more power because of RPM.
So is it basically like in the turbo world, basically like having a turbo that's too big and not having enough displacement for it to spool it up? Or
Yes and no, because it depended on the Coyote crank pulling 3.8 liters of supercharger. And it's a motor that makes no nut down low already. So now you got to whip it up fast. And the 3.8 is not made for RPM. The 3.0 is. Whipple's going to say, no, it's not. We got these dynographs. And I'm just like, cool, awesome. I'm in the real world and I see it. And I'm just like, put a 3.0 on it. You tell me, Alex, which Whipple would you get? The 3.0. 3.0, put it on, you can make it 1100, and that's
up until what point though?
Up to the point you put turbos on it.
Okay.
I mean, look, I'm not one of these guys that goes, well, you get a bigger. No, there is a point where you're like, I'm stupid to go bigger blower, where I can just put turbos on this car. And it's going to be like, oh, chilling, I'm good. Now, when it comes to big engines like a 500 cubic inch something, put a bigger blower on top. It'll yank it, not a problem. It doesn't need RPM. Big engines rev to 7. Coyotes are revving to 90 something hundred. So you're like, okay, I need something small that whips up fast. That's why the TVS is so wonderful on the Coyote platform. The 2.6 liter, people think 2.6, that kit. Look at the LSs.
Okay.
A 1.9 is badass on those cars. They overdrive it to hell. And those cars have been into the 8s easily with a 1.9 liter blower because it's a TVS. The 2.6 TVS is big in TVS terms.
Right.
The 3.8 is just, in my opinion, overkill for a Coyote. Good for a bigger displacement motor that already has torque and doesn't need a lot of RPM. I would opt for the 3.0 Whipple.
Now, what is the price? Because I think Whipple is like what, $10,000?
I would say 12.
12. Okay, 12.
I mean, all in,
So why? So you can't just buy a Whipple, and what else do you need?
I mean, you got to put it in, right? You got injectors.
Is that something you could do? You could do that yourself, though, right? It's pretty simple. Right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yes. Let's say you buy a Whipple kit and it's 10 grand. What are you comparing it with other blowers, or are you trying?
Yeah, compared to like a TVS, like you said.
I think it's going to be all the same price, right?
So it's in the same price range.
It's just a matter of how you want the power delivered. So the Whipple is a little softer down low.
Okay.
And it has good high RPM capability. TVS hits down low. Bam, here it is.
Okay.
Because it's spinning at a faster RPM.
Right.
Because the pulley combo serves the power curve. Let's just say everything has an efficiency island, just like turbos.
Yeah.
The torque hits so much faster on a TVS. Let's say boost for boost. Let's say they're both pulley for 10 psi.
Okay.
Let's do an even better comparison. Let's say I have a Mustang with a 10 psi Whipple and a Mustang, same spec, 10 psi TVS, right? This one's going to make 10 psi at about, I don't know, 4,800, 5,900. This one will make at 38, 42. It'll make it a little earlier.
1,000 RPM.
A little earlier. Yeah. And it'll just be like, Now, they'll both hit 10 psi, but I think the TVS is more suited for bottom end power as opposed to the Whipple. Now, at high boost, where it doesn't matter and you're doing wheelies and mitigating tire spin, that everything changes. But I never had more fun than with a 10 psi TVS car. Man, just blazing the tire at low RPM, not really working that hard. The car was happy. On a Whipple, I have to rev it high to make it feel good. On a centrifugal, forget it. You got to be at 7,000 RPMs to feel anything on a centrifugal. But because if you have a 10R80 car and you're roll racing and you're already at 7,000 RPMs, it just stays up there chilling, doing
so a
this thing.
centrifugal on a 5.0 would be a good combination.
10R80.
Yeah, 10R80.
Manual, no. Manual, the D4 MT82 that they introduced in 2018 has a big gear split. And like I said in the last podcast, we're climbing a mountain.
Right.
The 10R80 is tight. So the centrifugal serves that power curve better. But if we're dig racing, give me a TVS at 10, 12 PSI. If we're racing, turbos. That's
the best way to
I'm not going to sit there and play let's max out this blower game. And I'm like, why? Like if my goal is to go fast, why not pick the best power adder for the case use? Same thing. What do you want to do? That's why I asked you, what do you want to do with the truck? So I try to cater every argument based on what you're going to use it for. If you want to be a pump gas guy and you want to have a blower, TVS. If you want to make good power, maybe hit 16, 17 PSI one day, the Whipple is probably a better option up to that power level. But 80% of my customers live in that under 15 PSI range. So if they want a PD blower, positive displacement, I send them to Magnuson, E4. Magnuson I love. They're making some good products right now. And they even support the Toyota game. So they have like a TRD kind of like partnership. But I would always opt for a Magnuson at low, or a TVS at low power levels, like under 15. Above that, the Whipple will do a little better. And way above that, turbos.
Turbo would be the way to go.
I mean, way up there.
Up there.
And if you're roll racing and you're broke, you get yourself an ESS and you get yourself a fuel system, and that car is going to hang in there with Porsches, GTRs, roll racing.
No, that's not on the 24 though, right? That's on.
No, so the 24, the only thing you could do is the Whipple. And their stage 2 packages like the big cold air, the big single throttle body, which again, when you buy a 24 and you open the hood, you want to see 2 throttle bodies. You're like, well, I'm buying it for 2 throttle bodies, right? And they're like, well, wait, Whipple did 1, but 2 cold airs into 1 throttle body. Don't ask me why. I think it has to do with the inherent programming you can't change. Maybe it has 2 IAT sensors, 2 inlet, 2 some things. Why the hell does it have 2? But something in there made it have 2. So they're going to 1. And their stage 2 package is a Predator, which is GT500 injectors, and like a booster pump. And people have gone 8s with that setup, hating life. I've seen data logs where
on a Mustang?
On a Mustang.
Okay.
They've gone they've gone into the 8s with a Whipple tune. Now, I don't know many tunes that come from a manufacturer with 20 degrees of spark advance and shifts at 8,000 RPMs, regardless of the AFR. So after seeing these data logs, I'm like, this must be something sauced up. Maybe R&D.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. I am not faulting that. But the problem is this. You, Tukes, saw this guy go 8s with a Whipple on Facebook, and you're like, well, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And you put it on, and it doesn't do it.
Right.
It makes power on the dyno. And then you go down there, and you're like, it's not shifting right. It's only shifting at 7,200. I can't revise the tune, can I? Can I call somebody and get a revision? Wait for tuning. I would say wait for tuning, because then you run a safer setup going down the quarter mile, 1,000cc injector, ethanol, fuel system, and we can revise your shift points all day. Or live dangerously and see what happens.
So now that we're on that topic, right? If you wanted to build an S650, right? You just mentioned what you would need.
Right.
Now, what happens when it comes down to fueling?
Well, you're SOL, shit out of luck. So the only injector that comes in it is a Predator 55.
Okay.
It does have DI. It does have the factory direct injection system that might supplement it a little bit. And then they tell you, well, just get a booster pump. And the booster pump will give a little more voltage to the fuel pump drive module. And then if it needs the fuel, it's there. But the problem is you can't go up injector size because Whipple does not have a tune for an injector like an ID1000. It has a Ford factory injector tune file, Predator 55s. So you're stuck with that injector. That's it.
Okay.
So what has happened in the aftermarket, a lot of people have gotten savvy and they're like, okay, well, instead of getting a booster pump, we'll throw ethanol in it, a percentage, let's say 30% ethanol, and we'll get a aftermarket fuel system and we'll just jack up the pressure. We'll jack it up to 70 PSI. And we'll know we have at least enough pressure, but do you have enough volume? Do you have enough volume to supply the fuel? You have the pressure. So the pressure kind of makes up for the volume because that's all you can do.
Yeah.
In theory, you should get a 1,000cc injector in there, but you can't tune it. The only tune available is Whipple's tune for a Whipple supercharger, and they only support a 55-pound injector. So the people that are going 8s, they're going 8s, but like, all I have to do is look at your data log, and I'm not stupid. I've been doing this for a while. I'm like, I would never give the okay for this. I would never go, yep, looks good. Enjoy your car for the summer. No, I would go, yeah, you're out of fuel. You're out of fueling. AFR is climbing. I would get a bigger injector in there. Matter of fact, I did that recently to a customer. His fueling looked bad. He didn't trip. He just got a bigger injector, and magically it was fixed. And I was like, that's what I would do if I was your tuner, or if you were my customer. I would advise you, let's be safe. So there is a window of safety that has gone out the window with the 24 Mustang. It's just about who can go fast with the least. And I'm like, I don't want to be part of that game. I don't want to be, I'm a tuner. This car's untunable right now. So don't ask me for nothing. Ask the people, the manufacturers, ask Whipple what to do, because they seem to be okay with 55s. I'm not okay with 55s. If I was to advise a Whipple owner, I'd say keep it on pump gas, 10 psi. It's gonna be live a long, happy life.
And how much power would you make on that?
650.
650.
650. Well, depending on who you believe. So when the S650 came out, people were like, "Oh my God, pump gas, 800 horsepower," and I'm going, "Bullshit!" Like I'm yelling. I'm like, "No way!" So then what ended up happening was they were using octane booster, but they were saying pump gas to sell the product, not Whipple, people that were selling the blower. So I said, okay, that's a sales thing. It's not a problem. But what would happen? Somebody would try it and they go to the dyno. They go, it only made 640, 650. Where's my 700, 800?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because 700, 800 is like 14, 15 PSI. And you can't run 14, 15 PSI on pump gas. You need octane booster. And they weren't telling them that they need octane booster. So I was yelling from the rooftops. But I'm a hater. I'm just a hater. I'm like, okay, cool. And then video after video started coming out. People going, I need octane booster. And then all of a sudden the car started making the power. Then they started adding boost to it. And and I don't sell the product. I don't sell anything. So I had to be that bad guy for a long time, telling people the sales tactics were misleading you just to buy the product. But luckily, no major catastrophic issues happened out there, and people were generally caught on. They're like, okay, we need octane booster or some kind of splash of ethanol or something. So they were, relatively safe. But I still don't get it. I still don't understand playing that game. But 650 horsepower on a Mustang it runs like a 1060 with a 10R80 with a Whipple. That's fast. Splash octane booster in it, a little more boost, 1030, 1020. That's wonderful. What the hell else do you want to do? No, these guys they want to go eights. So I'm like, okay.
From a 10 second to 8 second is a massive.
Yeah, it's like 5 more PSI, a lot of weight reduction. And then NA guys who couldn't afford a Whipple, well, they started just gutting the car. They started throwing headers on the car. And it actually went pretty well for what it was with the factory programming.
Okay.
People were throwing nitrous at this car, 200 plus shots of nitrous with no tuning. They were running 940s. And I'm like, are we back to that? We're back to, piggybacking and weird stuff and fooling stuff. Again, people are going to find a way. But as a guy that works within a certain guideline, I don't want you ragging the car out with you're basically playing with fire. And I'm blown away that they're willing to do it. And I'm like, why? Is it worth the clout? Now, subsequently, it hasn't been worth the clout. The 24 Mustang was the worst selling Mustang in the history of Mustang ever. And guess what the 25 is tracking as? 18% less sales than 24. So by the end of this year, the 25 Mustang might be the worst selling Mustang of all time. It does not have the Charger, Challenger, or Camaro for competition. What they do wrong? I think Ford just kind of lost their way. I think they just built a car for like whoever they thought was going to buy it. Yeah. And then Whipple saved the day by saying, well, your piece of crap at least can go fast. And you're like, okay, sure. But people still weren't buying it. It opened a door for people going like this. What else is out there? And I think that's terrible because the Mustang during my come up and the Coyote world was pretty hard to beat, where people were coming from other platforms to join us. And now it's the other way. People are leaving the platform to join others. And I'm like, Ford, I think Ford dropped the ball with the car generally by locking the tuning, and their excuse, I guess, for it was safety, meaning they wanted to not have people hack the car because the car can communicate with Ford and have over-the-air updates. Believe it or not, F-150 did it first. So F-150 has a way of phoning home, the sync system, the over-the-air antenna, and I have seen guys load a tune, go for a drive, get a haircut, come back out, tune reverted back to stock. Car starts like shit. It had an over-the-air update. Oh, there's an update they pushed. It pushed an update and reverts the truck back to stock. So we're like, okay, flash the tune again. I've seen it so many times. So now there's a way of disabling that antenna or that software, but F-150 does it first. So once we started seeing that, we're like, hey, if 24 Mustang becomes tunable, over-the-air updates might have to be shut off so that it doesn't revert back to stock. It's wild what they've done out there. And I think that's the reason for the low sales. People don't buy a Mustang because of what Mustang offers them. People buy a Mustang because what they can do with the Mustang. Case in point, people buy these to customize them, to do things with them. And if you can't do things with them, they're going to buy something that they can do things with. And we lose customers because of that.
Why do you think that Ford is so behind on like listening to their customers?
So the 24 Mustang was designed during COVID. Now, I don't know what the hell happened in Detroit, but this car was, man, it's like gumbo, right? So it's like, it's for everybody. It's got a drift stick. Mm-hmm. You're going to go drift your $60,000 Mustang? You're going to just pull on a stick and be like, woo.
Yeah, nah.
No, right? Do you want revving on a key fob? Like, is that something you lust after?
Wait, what do you mean?
These things rev on the key fob.
What? What do you mean you rev on the key fob?
Let me set the scene. You're at a car meet, and you're like, rum, rum, rum.
No way.
Rum, rum, rum.
Really?
It revs on the key fob. I'm like flabbergasted.
Is there like a button?
Yeah, there's like a sequence, right? You hit a sequence, and you go, chugga, chugga, rum, and then you're like, and it does it over and over. And they used it as a feature. Like when they announced the car, first of all, it looked just like an S550 with a different nose. So we're like, and it has 2 Samsung tablets as the dash. And we're like, okay. And then he's like, but wait, there's more. You can rev it on the key fob. And I was like, oh my God, that's so gay. Like I was like, this is the gayest thing I've ever heard in my life. So I think this car was catered to maybe people that can't afford it, right? Okay, the drifting community is young guys.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to get into it, but let's just say, I can't, right? So the drifting community are not going to buy a $60,000 car that has drift wheels and this and that.
Yeah, right.
So it's like it has an identity crisis. They had Fox body inspired gauges. No one cared. It had revving on the key fob. Nobody cared. We're selling Mustang in history. It had a drift stick. Nobody cared. Like nobody cared. And then they tried to like make it like the GT, then the dark horse, which is like the better, it's still the Coyote. Mm-hmm. It has maybe 5, 6 more horse, maybe 10 more horse. And it has better suspension, better brakes, better tires. At the time, they were selling for $80,000. Yeah. And I'm like, I just didn't buy that this car looked to me like it was just put together quick with whoever had a focus group. Imagine you're at Ford and you have a focus group and you have like a drift guy over here, some grandma over here, and they're all telling you what they like in a car. They actually just did it instead of saying, no, we're going to give people a badass drag racer, a badass car you can modify. Like the way they released 15 to 17 Mustang, do yourselves a favor, go back to Ford Performance 2015 launch of the Gen 2 Mustang. This is how they launched the Gen 2 Mustang. EcoBoost 11s. And the mods you could buy at Ford Performance to go 11s. Buy these parts from Ford Performance, go 11s. Then the GT. I'm sorry, no. It was 12s, 11s, 10s. So buy these parts, go 12s with the EcoBoost. Buy these parts, go 11s with the GT. Buy the blower, the Roush blower, go 10s. All bought at Ford. That's how they released the car. You want a new Mustang, 2015, new body design? Look what we can do. 12s, 11s, 10s. And then the 350 came out. Bro, watch the release for the 350. Look, I got goosebumps. It was so badass. And then the fucking S650 comes out and they go, ring, ring. Oh, look at drift stick and you can rev on the key fob. And I'm like, I came from a racing culture to a gimmick culture. And the car didn't sell. They need people that, I don't know what they need, but how are other platforms so popular and Ford having no domestic competition gets its ass beat or doesn't sell? People just, not everyone died. Did they keep their Mustang or did they buy a different platform? I think they moved to a different platform, which we can talk about later on, where like it made people, Dodge is gone, Camaro's gone. What else they got? BMWs, Nissans, they went elsewhere. And they lost a lot of the people that wanted to modify their Mustang. I mean,
Yeah.
the car can only get a Whipple. That's the only mod you can do. Could you imagine that? No tuning, no E85 NA, no Cobra Jet intake, no nothing. Whipple, NA or a $12,000 blower. People went, I'll get a downpipe, from another platform and run a similar number.
Yeah, I just don't know what people would like. I know Dodge, they listened.
All
right?
those cars got repoed, man.
Yeah, most they listened. Like Dodge, they had listened, right? They listened to their customers, and they got rid of the EV nonsense.
They got rid of the EV nonsense,
which is probably, I think, of any flop out of any platform, that was probably the biggest.
That was
flop.
a wild flop.
Like massive
the
for that
speaker,
car.
the speaker exhaust, but
it's like you don't have that car as an EV. Like this is not
No.
the platform for that.
no. But it's faster than a Mustang, right? Like destroyed it. There was a thing called U-drags. Watch U-drags, everybody. Watch the U-drag with the Charger versus the Mustang. It beat it by a football field, by a 747. You know what a U-drag is, right? Quarter mile, turn, roll, race back. And the Charger was back a 747 before the Mustang was back. And I went, the EV, the one that the flop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the flop beats the Mustang. I feel so bad as a Mustang fan that I'm honestly, I close my eyes to whatever they say. I go, I don't care. Ford, I don't care. I don't care what you say, Ford. I'm done. I don't care what you say until this becomes tunable. I'm not going to come out of my hole and pay attention. I'm just going to just do my own thing with 23 and under. And you know what's happened? People have now swapped their Mustangs. They Coyote swap everything. They're getting old cars and they're just swapping it. They're like, I'm not buying this new one.
Yeah.
It's not tunable. Let me just get something tunable, because you can finance everything, right? You can get into a new Mustang, put $5,000 down, pay $600 a month or whatever, and now you're $600 a month, and you can now, maybe affirm a blower or whatever. But let's just say you just want to tune it.
Yeah.
E85 headers, exhaust, go to the track, run 10s NA or low 11s. Can't do that with this car unless you gut it, and it's just
I did see that someone was running like a fuel tech on
an F-150.
Yeah, the black one. Javier's friend.
Javier's friend, yes.
He has a fuel tech on it, but it is kind of finicky. Like his
Right.
brake lights don't work, and it's just certain wonky things.
But it runs the number.
It runs.
Right. And that was his end goal. So let me ask you, what do you, based on, you've gotten some knowledge with this, what do you think it costs to put fuel tech in a vehicle?
The FT700 is like $5,000.
That's just the FT700.
But that's that is the ECU. After the wiring and all that stuff, yeah, you're maybe
$4,000 or
like
$5,000. No,
5,
big money, because you got to like wire. Then you got to control the 10R80. You got to tune it. So shout out to them. He got it done, so he can say,
I would
"Hey,
say like
I have
10,000 then.
I have the
Maybe
fastest
$10,000.
Gen 5, whatever." Truck.
Yeah.
So okay, absolutely, he does. You can't take it away from him, but you can't natively tune that vehicle yet. So people like me don't even pay attention to it. I don't sit there and go, "Whoa, I want to do that."
I want to do right.
I go,
and he understands that too. He knows that.
He gets
but that
it.
was just his goal.
He seems like a good dude. They have a good program, but Javier's truck is tuned by Lund, and that thing goes 8s.
Yeah.
And you're like, natively.
That's an older truck, right?
Yeah, it's 23 and under.
23.
Which is, in my opinion, great. As a matter of fact, interestingly enough, F-150, 18 to 20 had a TC298 computer. 21 to 23 has an MG computer. And the MG computer, for whatever reason, shifts the 10R80 better than the TC298. Like, it has different spark cut. It has different, like, the 10R80 being controlled by the 21 to 23 F-150 is more crisp than the previous generation.
Than the previous generation.
Than the previous 18 to 20. 18 to 20 is, my opinion, previous generation. Because it's Gen 3.
Right.
21, 23 is Gen 4. Because it has a DOD, cylinder on demand, and different computer. Still 10R80. So that car, if you listen to a 21 to 23 F-150 shifts, it shifts better than an 18 to 20. It shifts like a popping sound in between shifts. It sounds
Yeah,
good.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, ooh, what's that? It's a different spark cut. Then you look at it, you're like, ooh, they got nice spark cuts. Quick, it's crisp. The 18 to 20 doesn't. Different computer. So I think they might have figured out, shit, maybe there is a ghost behind the machine controlling this thing, and it's an inherent issue that can pop up with a 10R80. But it still has 10R80 issues at big power levels. When you're making 1,000, you're going to have 10 or 80 issues. It's just going to slip, just doesn't have enough clamping force, just going to do what it does.
So now that you had mentioned that in terms of the previous year, what do you think is the best year F-150 to get?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Pre-21, I would have told you 18. Well, let's say in 2022, when they still weren't tunable. Or, 2022, they still weren't tunable. The same argument. Fuck those things. Those things are junk. And then all of a sudden, they're tunable, and you're like, ooh, it's crisp. It's nice. If I was to build a 10R80 today, a 10R80 F-150 today, it'd be a 21. 10R80 F-150. If I want to build a all-out race truck, get a Gen 2. Gen 2 Turbo 400, for racing.
Yeah.
But a 10R80 truck to go fast with, 21 and up. I think they look better. I think it has a better computer. Every time I tune one, it's so cookie cutter, it's not even funny. Like if a customer goes up to me and goes, ID 1300X's, return fuel system, E85, 15 pounds of boost on a Whipple. Here's the tune. I can take that tune and give it to everybody. And that bitch will do the same thing to every single one, proving that the tune, if configured properly and the mods are the same, all vehicles tune the same. There is no, just go tune's different. Does it have the same injector, have the same boost, same thing? Why should I have to change the tune?
Yeah.
And that truck proves it to me because I literally go like this. Go watt, looks good. What's it shipped at? 7,500. What did it run? 990. See you later.
That's it.
Bye. Have fun. And they're like, 1 or 2 tunes. I'm like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But we bought a truck. We developed the tuning. So that is version 80. So version 80 of that tune, the base, and then we throw the injector file, and then the thing just does what it does.
Right.
Yeah. So if I was to build one today, 21 and 23.
Now, out of those years, there were some issues from factory, no? With some of those years?
Well, not really on F-150 that I know. I know the DOD has an issue, and I think there's a way of deleting I say DOD, but it's displacement on demand or cylinder on demand, COD, DOD, whatever. I think there's a way of disabling that in the tune. You can just go off, and it doesn't actuate certain things. That I'm not.
Well, on the mechanical side.
On the mechanical side.
Yeah.
Well, I think once you delete it in the tune, and don't quote me on this because you know how the internet is.
Right.
I don't think you have to do anything mechanical to delete it. Just delete it in the tune.
Okay.
And then usually whatever issue would come up with that. But the problem is that the highest case use for these F-150s is racing. Yeah. So they blow up like because of 40 PSI or whatever the hell before I can see what the long-term effect of a tune would be. The long-term effect is our F-150. We, Lund Racing, own an F-150. We have everyone driving home and they put 20,000 miles on it. And if there's no ill effect, we're like, all right, the tune is good. The tune is not causing an adverse effect by turning off certain things. And that's how we vet the file. But the guys are racing right now. They're just throwing boost at it and they chuck a rod and they get a built engine in it and they go again. So I'm like, we don't know what the long-term effects of high horsepower are because you guys are just racing every weekend. So
yeah, it's crazy because I was looking at the older year F-150s too because I was like, well, it might be better and cheaper to get just like maybe like a 21 or something like that, because it's tunable, of course, and then also for the price. Like if I get a brand new one, it's kind of close to the same price, I guess, a little bit because the prices are still high. Like it's not everyone's looking for like that regular cab kind of style F-150.
It was so hard to find because they didn't make a lot of them, and then all of a sudden
now it's like
even Ford is like, well, we'll just build more of these. Yeah, people want these. Isn't that crazy how Ford listened to the aftermarket and said, oh, people want a fast truck. Let's give them a work truck with wheels and FP700. But with the Mustang, they didn't listen at all. You know what they actually came out with recently that made me laugh so hard? A Fox body inspired paint scheme. So how many Fox bodies have you seen with white wheels and white fog light inserts with a teal green color? That is their Fox body inspired FX package. And it looks like a Porsche. I forget the really cool looking Porsche wheels that have like a center lock thing. It looks like a Porsche wheel on an S550 with white inserts. And I'm like, you're not listening to anything. Even Fox body owners are like, bro, that's not Fox
I
inspired.
would have thought it was like white with like stripes or something like that. Maybe?
How dare you? How dare you? No no stripes on Fox. No stripes on Fox bodies. Are you crazy? No Fox on. No, come on. So I think they're trying their hardest, but they got it right with the truck. For whatever reason, Ford got it right with the truck. They gave you what you wanted, but with the Mustang, they're going. You want a Mustang Mach-E, which is an SUV. Why would you name an SUV Mustang? So now some old lady's going to go, it looks like my Mustang.
It's
and
been
you're
out
like,
for some years now, right?
yeah. And they actually outsold the car. The Mustang Mach-E outsells the car.
Have you been in one?
Hell no. Come on, man. Have you been in one?
I've always been curious about that truck. Like,
no, come on.
Or SUV, I guess.
Dude. It's a Model Y competitor. So like if I'm going to buy that, no, I would never even get in one. But nope, I'm good. Thank you. I got in a Model Y one time. Big mistake in South Florida with a Jamaican driving it. Goober. I got car sick because they are torquey. And I was whoa. But he was driving like a total ass. But it made me go, okay, I get it. Now those Mach-E's run 12s, but it's an SUV with the Mustang name on it. What are you doing? You're watering down the name of Mustang. Now I get it. People that are Mustang haters are gonna go, well, it's gay anyway. I get it, but what are you gonna do? Like you can't give them the blue check mark that it's gay by putting it on an SUV, but they did, and that's when I just kind of started reverting. If you pay attention to my show and stuff, I just was like, I don't want to be part of Mustang. I don't want to be this. It's leaving me. I didn't leave it. It left me. Ford just went this way. And I'm like, happy
That's kind of sad though, man. Cause like, that's like a big part of your whole career, I guess. Like
think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. If there was a Mustang that I liked, you don't think sales would happen if people like me, not me. I don't want to be that big headed, that if I buy one, show you how to mod it, show you people will go, well, I want to do that. ESS superchargers. They sent me down a supercharger. I installed it in 7 hours and tuned it, and it was off and running, making almost 800 horsepower on basic stuff, race gas, booster pump. But people were like, "Oh, I bought this because of you," and I'm like, "Wow, I wonder if they gave you a Mustang that's tunable that I can mess with, how sales would be affected." Just tunable. Like tomorrow, if Ford was to flick a switch and say it's tunable, it would sell 1,000 units, 1,000 units more. Tomorrow. They won't. Eventually it'll become tunable, but it'll be one of those things where you got to turn off the antenna. You got
one of those things.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it'll be too late when they do come out with the tuning for the 24s?
Well, okay. This can segue into another conversation. The people that wanted to buy a new car to go fast went into a different platform.
Already?
Yeah, I think so. Because I have seen people that used to be 5.0 Mikey, 5.0 Steve, become S58 Johnny, A90 this guy, G3, whatever. And I'm like, they moved on. And these guys were Fox body, S550, Gen 3, BMW. So it's like that forced people to look the other direction. Ford forced people to look away. Now there's no Charger. Now there's no Challenger. Now there's no Camaro. What's left? There's an M2 there. There's an M3 there. There's an M5. There's all these M somethings. Let me look at that. And it's about the same price of an S650. $60,000, 67, 80,000 bucks for a dark horse. I'd rather get something I can downpipe and go.
80,000 for a dark horse?
Well, it depends on the trim. It can go up there.
So it's like the same. The same as.
So why would I get a
GT?
dark horse that I can't tune? That the only thing I do is put a Whipple on it, or I can have a. Let's be honest, the interior is way nicer on those cars than a Mustang. The Mustang interior is nothing special. It's
dark horse wasn't terrible. I've sat in one before. It wasn't too bad. I like the screen.
You like the screen.
I think
Those two
cool.
Samsung tablets on the bitch. Like
I thought it was different.
Definitely different
for a Mustang.
See, that's the problem, right?
For a Mustang.
For a Mustang, you go, this is good for a Mustang,
Yeah.
as opposed to saying this is good. This is good, right? I want to, if I'm going to spend $60,000, I want to be able to sit in something and go, this is good. I like this, as
Right.
opposed to it ain't that bad. It's just got the corner cut off from the steering wheel, whatever.
But Mustang interiors were never, to me, like appealing.
No, they weren't appealing. So at the end of the day, it's like, what do you want the car for? And if it's one of those things where you're like, well, the interior is something I really value, then you don't get a Mustang.
Yeah.
But if you're paying 60 to 80,000 for something, don't you want it to be nice? Like, don't you want the interior to be decent? I would.
It's just, it's actually making me think that like, it's true. Like a lot of the other platforms, even like in Evo we have here, like it's not dead, but here it is. Other places, like when I went to Australia, they're pushing that platform heavy.
They're pushing Evo in Australia?
Yeah, Australia,
so
different
what
countries.
do you think the culture is like in Australia that allows them to push platforms that have long been gone in the US? Like, does the US have like a disposable society where if it's not new and fresh now, it ain't shit?
With the Evo, I'm not really sure. With the RB, it's just accessibility to cast blocks and so on. They're billet
tuning,
so they tuning, of course. Yeah. So that's another thing too. Like we don't have RBs here. We didn't get that car.
Right.
So over there, they have it.
And the thing is, they would say that about the US market with Mustangs, right? They've only had them since 2015 over there.
Right.
Like, you guys are so lucky. You have Crown Victorias. And I'm like, what? A Crown Victoria? They're like, oh, mate, this thing's got a V8 in it. And I'm like, what the? It's a taxi. And they're like, oh, it's fucking amazing. And I'm like, okay, cool.
It's exactly, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
They're like they come, imagine you're an Australian guy, right? And you pick them up from the airport in New York and you're, oh, look at this Crown Vic. And you're like, what?
No, they freak out. And I was doing the
Lose
same
their
thing.
mind, right?
Yeah,
They
I
lose
was
their
doing
mind.
the same thing. It's just opposite.
What were you freaking out on in Australia that made them go, hey man, it's no big deal, what the fuck?
A lot of the older cars, like there was a
Holden something, which is a Contour SVT.
Holdens are everywhere though.
Okay.
Like this, that's like traffic car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I was more freaked out about like a lot of the Silvias, like the S15s. Those are a lot of them, it's just traffic cars. Like they drive them over there. So for me, it was like, damn, you guys have these everywhere. Like everybody has an S15, but they had it. Like you could buy it at the dealership.
We literally take Crown Vics and throw them off the edge of a cliff and crash it just to see it because it was like $600.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, a V8 4-door car. Like they lose their mind. I get it. I think in the US we've lost that. I think we lost hot rodding when it comes to knowing stuff. See, a lot of the new cars, all you have to do is bolt on 3 or 4 things and you're really fast because the car's really good already. Whereas I grew up in these things behind me and it's like 220 horse at the flywheel. So to run 12s, you had to know shit. So you had to go to the Barnes & Nobles. It's a bookstore. They stole books there. And then you get upside.
Barnes & Nobles is still in business now?
Some of the kids might not know what the hell that is. So we opened up a Muscle Mustangs and Fast Forward magazine and we looked at the Yoken article and he's like, install these gears, install these slapper bars, install these roller rod. So then that's hot rodding. So you have to like physically open up engines and do stuff. Whereas now, no, everything's on the outside, downpipe. Everything is just put a blower on it with this bracket that's very well engineered.
Yeah.
And by the way, your tuner is going to do everything else. And you're like, okay, so then you have a recipe and then it's easy. So then they're like, well, what's the next big thing? That wasn't a big challenge. Hell, you would, I'm going to date myself, but if you were a 10-second Fox body owner in 1999, you were just king ding-a-ling. 10 seconds. Whoa.
Yeah.
Now, if you're 10 seconds, you're like, you suck. That's stock. That's stock numbers. So I think the hot rodding culture changed. It changed in the amount of labor or knowledge that needed to be known to get into a platform. And now tuners and bolt-on stuff just makes it so easy that maybe people have it's done, I'm bored with it, let's move on to the next big thing. And Mustang kind of furthered that thought process. We can't do anything. We can't. The only thing we can do is put a Whipple on it. I'm going to go over here.
But when you can, the question is, will it be worth it?
Give me an example. Like say more.
Like if you once you are able to unlock or tune a 24, all these, like, will it be worth it? Will it be comparable to let's say a G80 BMW where you can just downpipe tune it and
no. No. So an S650 is an S550, right? So whatever you had to do to that to make it run,
it's going to be,
it's the same thing. So an ESS, a ProCharger, a Whipple, yes, but Why, when you can do that right now with a previous platform, 23 and under, like the same thing. So is there any new platform that you're aware of that is up and coming that people are looking at going, that's the next big thing, that's the next big platform that we might fuck with in the future?
Well, I think we're in it right now, the BMW.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
honestly, that world, it's like two universes, orbiting each other, and then it just grazes. And the grazing of universes happened when Ford stopped letting you tune the 24, and I went, what's going on over here? And I went, oh, downpipe? What do you mean a downpipe? What do you? So I had to tell on my chat, what do you mean a downpipe? Talk to me. So downpipe, so you move the cats, right? Downpipe, you take the computer to Russia or something, or Ukraine or whoever, and they unlock it, and then it comes back, and then you got to get E50 because the DI system after E50 is a problem. So now I know this stuff where 2 seconds ago I didn't know this stuff.
Yeah.
And why do I know this stuff? Because the Mustang is not able to be effed with at all. So that grazing of universes happened at that moment, and Ford caused it. I didn't cause it. I did not leave Ford. Ford left me. So if tuning comes back, what are you going to do different that's going to blow my mind? You're going to throw a centrifugal on it? Oh, wow, we've done that. We're still doing that. Yeah, it'll further tuning another year or two, and I'll be more secure in my job that we'll be able to tune it for a little longer, but I'm not excited.
Yeah.
I'm not excited for it. I'm just like, meh. Like, I honestly started looking at Dodges just to see, then I said, nah, it's just something, it's just another V8 rear-wheel drive car that I didn't want to mess with.
Yeah.
And then F-150, but not really, because I tune them every day. So it's just like, there's nothing I want to do that you want to do something that no one has done in the past, something unique to you.
Right.
And Mustang, I thought was going to be it. I thought they were going to have like badass forged internals. We're going to run 7. But I'm like, we've done that. We've done that on previous generations. So it's like, or the 10R80 is that much better. Nothing they have or are coming up with makes me excited to be able to look into a Ford in the future. Like, if Charger comes, okay, I'm actually genuinely excited over the Hurricane engine on Dodges.
I was actually gonna bring that up,
Bro.
Yeah, I don't know if you looked into it, but
yes,
yeah.
Universes colliding. Now there's the Dodge universe smashing into me, and I'm going, wait a minute, tell me about this Hurricane and the HO version. So now I saw an article where Dodge is like, guess what, guys? We're gonna release the V8 again. We're coming. It's back. Blah, blah, blah. 395 horsepower. Get the fuck out of here. A Nissan Altima SE, whatever the hell, has that kind of power. You're telling me you're bringing back the V8 to make barely, not even 400 horsepower? And the HO version of the Hurricane is 550. Why the hell would I buy a V8 Dodge truck ever? So I'm blown away that people were like, oh, the i6 sucks. No, it doesn't. That Hurricane is legit, the 550 horse.
Yeah.
And they literally have JB4 tuners now that like manipulate those things and have gained a good amount of power. So I'm just like, again, I didn't know any of this stuff because once I started seeing that Dodge is doing something, BMW is doing something, what the fuck's Ford doing? Same Coyote, same thing, untunable. And you're like, as a hot rod guy, I'm looking at what I can modify. And if I can't modify, I'm literally not looking at it. Wouldn't you, knowing what you know now, buy a high output Hurricane truck? 550 horsepower? Tunable today. Tunable today.
It depends on well, for me personally.
Sounds like shit.
Depends on how it looks.
But
Depends on how it looks. Depends on how it looks for me, but yeah.
well, yeah, okay, so they make an RHO. You know what that is, right? It's the TRX with a Hurricane.
Oh, really?
The RHO, the really high output.
So it's a TRX.
It's a TRX, but it's
Body.
really high output RHO.
I'm not really a fan of the TRX though. I think an F-150 is the best looking truck to me.
Could you imagine? No, I'm not going to go there. You're going to steal a TRX and you're like, oh, it's an RHO. Damn, where's the Hemi at? Stupid.
Yeah, I couldn't go. You had to go there, of course. It wouldn't be an Alex podcast.
Why would you steal the RHO? How? It's three letters.
Yeah.
It's three letters. TRX.
You know, that
RHO.
doesn't stop people from buying Dodge though. Like, it's crazy.
No, Dodge did a
People still buy, no matter what. They don't care.
Dodge did a wonderful thing, in my opinion, catering to the pop culture. Let's just say that of like, dude, if you were certain places and you didn't have a Dodge, you ain't shit.
Pop culture.
That ain't a
pop culture in 2025 is crazy.
Well, you know what I mean, pop culture. What you want me to say? Hip hop culture? Okay, hip hop culture.
That's funny.
Meaning, okay.
I knew what you meant, but I was like, he said pop culture. It's just funny.
I'm trying to be good. So like, imagine you're somewhere and you roll up in a RT.
Okay.
And the girl's like, that ain't no scat. How many songs are made about the RT Challenger and the RT? No, it's the Hellcat SRTs, this and that. So they did a really good job of just leaning into that culture. Maybe giving certain people cars. Here, drive it.
Yeah.
Here, speed it up. Who cares? Do donuts in it. Blow it up. We don't care. Put it in your video. And people are like, I got to have it. I got to have it. Mustang. You think people say that about a Mustang? Nobody says that about it. They have drifters.
It's not enough, though. It's not enough.
Go to a drift event and take a look at the audience. What do you see? You see a lot of people that might be able to afford a $60,000 car.
I feel like the drift community or the culture is more like the skater crowd. Like, that's like when I was younger, like that was that kind of crowd. You know, that's not a bad thing.
Were you a skater?
No. I'm just saying, like looking at different crowds in high school. Let's say, like the drifters are the skater dudes.
Why do you think that is? Why did drifting, which isn't racing because the first to the finish line doesn't win, why did drifting capture Mustang's attention? Ford must have been like, that's what we got to do. That right there, that's the future right there. Forget this drag. And you're like, when did, I've been to those events and it's hilarious that they're catering to that when the guys that do that just have a shit box and they have a camber kit or whatever the fuck or a steering angle and then an LS and a jacked up 240 and they don't care. But then they say, well, that's what we need to cater to. We need to cater to this audience. And I go, no offense, I don't think those guys are buying $60,000 Mustangs, $70,000 Mustangs. They're buying a shit box.
The drifting is going to be apparently like a big deal, right? Oh, it's
what do you mean gonna be? To who? It's not racing.
That's what they say. I don't know. I did a podcast with Adam LZ.
I love him. Great guy.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys did a good job. But like,
I asked him and he said that the sales are still Drift HQ. Like,
what are they selling?
Parts to build cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like that must mean that obviously it's a growing community. And I think it is. I just don't, for me, it's kind of like, look, I do this for a living, right? I do content for a living.
Yes, sir.
And one of the downsides to doing this is always trying to find the next best thing because if you don't, or big thing, right? So if you don't, you fall off, right? So I look at everything like that. I look at drifting like that too. And I say, all right, well, if I were to get into it, what does the next 5 years look like for drifting?
Okay. So
right?
You tell me.
I don't know. And I don't see it. I don't see that being a thing where like everybody's going to get involved in it. Right. But when you have platforms dying off, like let's say a Mustang where people aren't going to buy the newer cars, they're going to buy older cars and swap motors and stuff.
Correct.
And do maybe donuts in the street or at the track. Right. So it just becomes a thing where it's like, how big is it going to get? And
what's the end game?
What's the end game? Yeah.
Is Ford going to make a drift ready vehicle? I know the RTR
I think they will.
is a thing.
I think they will.
But the RTR to me is not something that you would go drifting in because it's a very high cost of entry. It's pretty and you're not going to slide it around. Now, I don't even understand. And again, this might be showing my age. It might be showing my my generation that does not understand it at all. Like I look at drifting and I switch the channel. I'm like, I don't care. Look at his entry. Oh, what? Next, I will watch tennis. I will watch anything else because it's not racing.
Yeah.
There is no racing aspect. There is no get to the finish line first. It's art. It's dance. It's this. It's that. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't care about that. So I'm like, all right, well, that's not racing. So why would Ford go, yes? Is it because the kids are doing it? And if it's the kids, do those kids have money? Or are they just going to build, like you said, a ship box with an LS and drift?
Yeah.
I know a guy that does a lot of Coyote swap stuff, make it modular. And he has 3-valve. His specialty is 3-valve 05 to 10 Mustang. And he sells the camber kits and this and the Coyote swaps. And in that, not in an S550. I mean, you'd be psycho to take a $25,000 car, $25,000, and then chop it up. No, you're going to take a $4,000, $3,000 car, chop it up, throw a motor in it. And if you hit a wall, who cares?
That's true.
I'm just kind of blown away that, again, Ford left us. We didn't, and this is coming from a fan, a lifelong Mustang guy. My first car was a Mustang. I've always owned a Mustang. Even in my poorest, where I had no money, I always had a Mustang to keep me like, okay, I have something fun, and it kept me out from like depression and all this stuff. You're like, okay, I have a nice little hot rod that it's my escape. Now I don't care. I look at that and I'm just like, they need turnover. In my opinion, whoever the focus group people are, whoever are at the top, they need turnover. In 1993, the Fox body was going to be the last Mustang. They were going to replace it with a Ford Probe. And then this guy named Coletti, not Coletti, is it Coletti? I think it was Coletti. SVT came in, Special Vehicle Teams, a race-oriented program. And they made the 94 Mustang, they introduced the Cobra, then they introduced the 96 Cobra, the 98 Cobra, the Ford SVT Focus, the Contour SVT. It became performance. So I went, oh, I'm back. Cool. But the Fox body was going to be gone until they had turnover. I think they need that again. They need somebody at the top to say, hand me the keys, make this company relevant again, make it racy, because what we're doing is not working, clearly.
Do you feel like drag racing is a dying sport?
What kind of drag racing? Okay, right. So there's street racing, hot as ever.
At the track.
What kind? No prep or prep?
Prep.
Yes, it's dying. I think it's dying. Because now, I'm going from a perspective of asses in seats. I'm not going from a perspective of racers enthusiastically getting into racing. Everyone's going to want to get into racing, but who wants to watch it? If you're not watching it, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound.
Right.
Okay, so if you're never at a drag strip, nobody's seeing you, is it popular? Is everyone at home watching Flow Racing and all these other things, stream it on the internet, and then I don't want to get out there and look at it. I don't want to go to a track and listen to Top Fuel drag cars. I don't want to go to a track and listen to pro mods. I don't want to go to a track and do any of that stuff. But that's me. I'm a 47-year-old man. If you're in your 20s, do you want to do it? Do you know a lot of 20-year-olds that are like, man, I want to go to the track? Or, hey, shut down the street and let's do donuts in the intersection and jump over the hood of the car. That looks way more fun and dangerous. Right? So then you're like, okay, well, drag racing, I think, in the capacity of the 80s and even 60s, 70s, and 80s, popping. But there wasn't internet.
Yeah.
It was nothing.
Yeah.
So that's all you could do to see like potentially dangerous shit. Now, you have so much entertainment everywhere else to capture the attention span of the modern person is real difficult. You damn near have to have and I'll get into this a little bit, you have to have a bit of danger involved. And that's why no prep racing is still wildly popular. There's an event called War in the Woods. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's literally, it looks like someone's track in the forest. And asses in seats. I'm saying everyone's there. It's a hot ticket. Everyone and their mother is there. It's a no prep, flashlight start, drag race event. And in no prep means shit can happen. And these cars ain't slouches. They're 2,000, 3,000 horsepower cars that are literally badass cars. That would be like 3-second 1/8 mile cars or low 4-second 1/8 mile cars in a prep track. And they're going down a no prep. And when the accidents happen, they're ridiculous. I mean, cars go flying up in the air. It's nuts. That is wildly popular. That racing, that grassroots, backwoodsy, outlaw, renegade style, let's just get after it, race for money, fuck it, that is hotter than ever. The organized, let's go NMRA, NMCA, that shit died. And people have tried to pick up the pieces by trying to like start little offshoots and regional offshoots of what was once a big event, but nothing fills the seats as donk racing and no prep racing. And back half racing, meaning they race at the top end of the track and go back the other way. No prep.
Yeah.
Orlando has more people show up to a no prep night than a test and tune on a Sunday morning. So you're like, they're onto something. So it's what kind of racing? And am I into no prep? No, not at all. I go, that's cool. Not my thing. My thing is good old fashioned drag racing on a sticky track and science and really pretty cars and minimal traction loss. But that's dying, in my opinion.
There was a little bit of controversy with TX2K and that being not as big as it used to be, which I agree it probably wasn't. I've never been to Houston. Mm-hmm. However, I did always watch the after movies, the street racing and so on. Yep. Obviously that's changed. They still do street race, but you have to go
way the hell out there.
Right. Yeah. So that definitely, without a doubt, affected the turnout
and the allure.
Right.
You understand, Texas 2K in its heyday, people came from all over the world, and they camped out at a Walmart parking lot with their camper, their car, and they just raced on the street. They didn't give a fuck about the track stuff, right? Yeah. So I lived in Houston for a year, and you can catch a race anytime. But 2K, if you didn't make over 1,000, keep your ass home because you ain't keeping up with nobody. All these cars were legit. So then once I kind of graduated to I worked for a company, and the company then attended the race at Texas 2K at the racetrack. I thought, okay, this must be a completely different crowd. No, dude, the same motherfuckers that were out there street racing were racing at the track. Yeah. And I went, whoa, this is different. So I remember, I'll never forget, there was a Friday night, I want to say 2017 or so. There was a Friday night. It mixed TX2K qualifying with open test and tune. It was the hottest ticket in town. I did not ever see more cars in the changing lanes than that in my life. And they were all top tier cars, Vipers, S2000s, really Billy badass stuff. And there was not a seat in you could not sit, it packed everybody. And you'd launch and all the cell phones were out, and I was able to do a test and tune pass, and it was weird seeing that many people going down the track, and I'm at the end of the track and there's still people. I'm like, this is packed. And I went like a 9.7, but I beat some other car that was like a 9.3 car. And I went, well, there were so many people. And then the next day, I'm like, it's not gonna be like this. Those people showed up the next day, packed. And I was like, this is cool. But that was 2017. And then all of a sudden you started seeing things sort of die down. 18, 19, 20 was like, it just killed off a lot of people's desire to go outside even. And then once 2K ended in Houston, this is their second year there. I'm gonna give them some time because on a Saturday, that bitch was packed. I was like, ooh, this is packed on a Saturday. But
last year. Right?
Last year. But this year, not that much. But it was never nearly as packed as it was in Houston. Houston was special during those years. I want to say 2015 to 2018 Houston, maybe guys that live in Houston will say, no, 11 was better or whatever. In my experience, 15 to 17 Houston was GOAT stuff. It was so badass. Like you'd see 220 mile an hour pulls on the highway. And I'm like, what are these people doing? GTRs would show up from Miami, and they were crazy.
All those YouTube videos I would watch, those were big videos because that's if you weren't there, you'd get to see it.
Exactly.
But we don't really have that. They're still making videos, but it's not the same.
Not the same.
As like those.
You notice there's a die off.
Yeah.
And it's just more takeover. It's different. It's just shifting into something else. And I think maybe, like you said, Ford is trying to get in front of it by getting the drifting crowd. Personally, again, that universe has not collided with me, just like BMW did and Dodge did. But maybe if the drifting culture goes, all right, maybe, one day I wake up and I got a bump on my lip. I'm like, all right, let me go look at this drifting stuff, and maybe that'll make sense one day. But right now, these are good.
I don't know. I don't know what their overall intention is with the platform, but I don't think it's drifting. I just think that maybe they're experimenting with it, maybe trying to figure out what direction they're going to go. To the point of
potentially losing the car. Sales are nothing. They sold 5,000 cars since the beginning of the year. 5,000.
But that's enough to just make a quick change though. Like,
bro,
Dodge, how long was that Dodge out for? How long was the EV Dodge out for?
No, Dodge is different. The whole company is going to shit. You know what I mean? But Ford has the F-150, the F2, 350. They're making money, so they can afford a shit product. But what if you lose Mustang? Mustang has never not been made. Ever since the Mustang was introduced, it has never had a year that it was not made. Even from 71 to 74, the worst year. I'm sorry, 74 to 78. The worst years. The Mustang 2, they called it. But it sold. It sold like crazy because at the time, the gas crisis, blah, 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 blah. But they still made it.
Yeah.
And then the Fox body. But Camaro, they stopped making it for 1 year. Then it came back out. Now they stopped making it again. Challenger, stopped making it, came back. And now they stopped making it again. And now they're going to EV it, and then they're going to stop the EV. It's crazy. Mustang has always been something. So imagine if they experiment so much that they lose their... Dude, they could have done nothing and sold more than they did now. They could have made the 23 the 24 look exactly like the 23, same computer, same bullshit, tunable. They would have not lost a dime. They would, oh yeah, we sold a little under, but not worse than ever. Worst sales year ever. I'm shocked that there isn't somebody at Ford right now not losing their shit. Like, we're going to lose Mustang. They're leaving us. Look, the sales are done. What do we do to capture? You said
5,000?
I think it was 5,000 units since the beginning of this year, if I'm not mistaken. And I didn't even notice that's the only car they make. Think about it. What cars do Ford make? Cars. Automobiles.
Ford... They still got the Fiesta? What is that?
I don't think so.
Ford.
I think it's the only car they make.
Ford Mustang.
Go ahead. Look up Ford cars. It's the only car they make. Not an SUV, not a crossover, not a weird thing. A coupe.
Ford Fusion, maybe?
I don't know. Fusion's gone.
Old's gone, yeah.
I literally think the only car. Why? Kia makes a car. Camry makes a car.
Yeah.
Nissan makes a car. You know, all these offshoots make a better car than Ford ever did. So now what if they start making better hot rods? Like, look, the BMW, you know what? It would blow my mind if the BMW kills the Mustang. If the BMW is such a popular platform that people just went, I want to go there, and it kills the Mustang.
Yeah, but then what? I think this is a bigger...
What do you mean, then what?
Okay, you go to BMW, you get a downpipe tune, you go fast.
Right.
Cool. Then what?
I don't know. You slide on the ops. I don't know what you do. What do you do?
I'm telling you, it's like the same thing. We're in a time. I think it's bigger than the Ford thing.
Cutter.
I think it's just
okay, but Ford is the same thing, just at a bigger scale. ESS,
I think you
FIC.
can do more with the Ford than you can with the BMW.
Oh. You're gonna get some emails because
I think you
talking about?
No, well, think about it. What's the record on a Ford on a Mustang? The fastest
6.0.
There's no BMWs going.
Well, before I say that, on a Mustang that mostly resembles a normal body, I want to say in mid-6s because people are going to go, "What's the Pro Mod?" You know, it's stupid.
All right, so like on a street, on a stock chassis,
sixes. They've been in the 6s.
Yeah, 6. There's no BMW going. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible. There are 7. I think it's the record on a Supra is probably like a 760. Yeah, 760.
But it's fairly new. The Mustang's been out since 2015. What I'm saying is this: I don't think it's going to kill it in the sense that it's a better platform. I think it's the platform that people just gravitated to. I don't think it's better. I just think people
then what?
Truck. That's why truck is so badass. That's why truck it's all-wheel drive. You can do dig race, you can put turbo, but again, if it's not tunable, you might kill that.
Truck F-150.
Truck F-150, sorry.
No, I'm talking about BMW.
I'm saying that's why maybe Ford just put all their eggs in the truck basket. And said, well, we're willing to live with 5,000 Mustang sales in a quarter if the truck takes off. If we sold 10,000 more units in the truck than we would have the previous year, then it's worth it to only give you 5,000 Mustangs. But then what happens to the Mustang fan? What happens to the Mustang fan that says Stang? You know, like the real weirdo that the similar to a Corvette owner. Those guys are going to be like, "Whoa, there's no more Stangs around. What are we going to do?" Like, I don't care. I would say it sucks, and I'm sad it left us. But I wouldn't be like it's the end of the world. Those people would be like, there are internet arguments right now. People say, well, the Mustang never stopped being made. What if it does? Now there goes that. It goes the way of the Camaro, the Charger, Challenger. It's not the tried and true car that survived all that stuff.
Stupid question. Do they still make a GT500?
No, but supposedly there's test mules that are showing a GT500 drive around Michigan right now. So supposedly coming up, there is a GT500 that's supposed to be offered by Ford.
But we don't even know about the motor or anything like that.
It's probably going to be that 5.2, blower DCT, unless they have something up their sleeve. Like So there was rumors, and a UAW guy, United Auto Workers guy, put out a memo on Reddit or something that said that they're now building the motor called the Legend, which is the not Predator but Legend in it. I don't know what it could be. I can't imagine it isn't a dual overhead cam something, maybe 5.5 liter, something more inspired by more of their race stuff as opposed to the 5.2, but I don't know. And it might be DCT again, but I don't know. That's one of those things that no one really knows. Ford keeps it under wraps. Corvette, we knew it was going to be a dual overhead cam twin turbo car for 2-3 years or more. Ford is keeping that pretty under wraps, but I'm sure someone's going to get access and give you. I used to have a connection, but that connection's gone. But it's either going to be a GT500 or a Cobra or something along those lines where it's supercharged, whatever. And
Cobra.
Yeah, because never has there been, I might be mistaken, but there has never been a year where a GT350 was made and a Cobra was made. It's either one or the other. 0304 Cobra, no GT350. GT350 16 to 20, no Cobra. If you want to go back in the Fox body days, to me that doesn't count at all. But I think because there is a GT350 that Shelby took over again, which basically they took a GT, they put a Whipple on it, and put different suspension. They're like GT350 for $100,000, and you're like, okay. So I don't know that they'll do a GT500 in the same breath where Shelby has control of the 350 name.
Right.
So I don't know if it'll be Boss or 429 Boss or Cobra Jet, who knows, or Cobra, which Cobros would love. Cobros would love the Cobra to come back. And that'd
be sick.
That'd be cool. That would bring a lot of people back. And imagine if it's stick shift. Imagine if it's 800 horsepower stick shift. You're right back. Well, how much is that going to cost? $100,000. $100,000. A supercharged factory Mustang will be $100,000, just like that one was. And when people say that one, there's a Predator GT500 behind us. So they just can't see it. But yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, it's going to be $100,000. And then you're going to start going, what else do I have around for $100,000?
No, that's it. Once it gets in, I feel like once those cars get into like that kind of stuff gets into like 100,000, it's done.
That was $100,000 brand new, but it was tunable right away.
Yeah,
right away. We took it, we tuned it, made 890 or something wheel like a week after we owned it. And guess what? That is a hot seller. People love that car. You can't get, anytime it comes up for sale, boom, people scoop it up. But if there's like a 800 plus horsepower supercharged Mustang, it's from the factory, not a Whipple tune, it's going to be $100,000. At that point, I'm like, what are we doing? Who are we catering to?
That's what I mean. Once you're in that price range, it's like that's it.
Totally blows it out of the water. And then you're like, what am I going to do? As a tuner, I'm glad it's coming out and someone's going to buy it. Boy, but are you excited about it? No. If that thing had twin turbos and an all-wheel drive, now we're talking. And that's
all-wheel drive?
All-wheel drive. I have since 2020 have advocated Ford to release a 3.5 EcoBoost all-wheel drive hybrid Mustang.
Oh, okay.
Right. Put some motors in the front. And guess who did it? Corvette. The E-Ray. Look at things badass. 10.6s, runs 10.6s, has launch control, DCT, but it's $100,000. But it's quicker than the Z06 in the 0 to 60 and in the quarter mile. So I'm like, wait a minute. It's less money, but it's quicker than the Z06? Only if Ford would have introduced an all-wheel drive, twin turbo, small, reinvent it. They have EcoBoosts. So why not just make some, I know it's going to be expensive, but like you wouldn't be excited over a twin turbo, anything all-wheel drive Mustang? I would, but.
I can't picture that. I just picture all-wheel drive cars as like, cars like this or like BMW G80s, X-Drive.
But when you look at a C8 Corvette, do you think that could be all-wheel drive?
No.
It is.
Any Corvette.
But
no.
it is.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
So when you see that thing launch, you go, it messes with your head. I saw it do a four-wheel drift in a huge, nasty circle, and I'm just like, I want that. I don't know why, but I wanted that. And it was badass. And he would launch it over and over and over, and it would run 10.6 over and over and over. I was like, this is it. There's a guy that has one on YouTube. He just put a set of wheels on it, has owned it for a year. He just goes out there and just drag races every day, and it runs 10.7, 10.6, 10.7, 10.6 like it's clockwork. And I'm like, I'd be happy there. Dude. I think Ford missed the performance boat, I think, a little bit. And I don't know how they're going to gain it back. Maybe this GT500 or Cobra or whatever it is coming up will change my mind. But until I see it, I'm down on Ford. It's still back here. It's not in front of me anymore. It's I've kind of just gone by it.
Shame. So it looks like there's no, I guess there could be a future for Ford, but hopefully they do make it turn around.
You know what the Malaise Era is? Have you ever heard of that term,
Never.
Malaise Era? In the 70s, there was an era where, because of the gas crisis, cars were made like shit. Like big boats that had 180 horsepower, really low horsepower, really shitty cars. And then came the Dodge Omnis and the K cars, these little pieces of junk gas-sipping cars. And I think we're in a Malaise era for Ford when it comes to performance vehicles. There's a lull. Others are doing better. We're just kind of doing things, and they can come back. They can always come back. But I think this is an era of like, don't expect too much out of Ford right now. Now, people will say, what about a Whipple? What? That is an aftermarket company. I don't look at that and go, that is a Ford part. That is an aftermarket company.
Yeah.
From Ford, I don't see anything that's exciting me right now. Nothing. They don't have a 350. They don't have GT500 for the last 2 years. They have a dark horse. A Katy Perry song, a wine.
That's the first thing I thought about.
A wine. Have you seen the wine at Target? Dark Horse. Same logo. Same logo. Check it out. Check it out. Same logo. Same fucking logo. I have one at my show. I drink out of it when someone pisses me off.
Really?
And then when I get pissed off enough, I'll leave tuning. I cross off when someone pisses me off enough, and then when I'm done, I quit. I quit. She's like, nope, fuck this. I'm done. I'm at the top still, so we're good.
Yeah, dark. I think it's a nice. It's cool looking. I think
it's a good looking car. I'm not gonna deny it's a good looking car, but does it make you go, whoa, I need one of those? What car right now makes you, Tukes, go, holy shit, that thing's badass. I want it. I wish I could afford it.
I wish I could.
Right. It invokes emotion.
And this is not an exotic, of course, right?
It could be a $100,000 cap. Cap. E-Ray makes me hard. Crack a walnut with it hard.
Damn, but there's nothing new that's like.
You just missed that. Nothing? Have you paid attention much to the Corvette stuff?
I have.
Okay.
They all look the same though.
Of course,
it's still a C8 body. Like,
of course, all BMWs look the same. Motherfuckers.
Yeah, and anyway. Honestly, for
you don't
me,
get it?
Okay, actually, maybe an M2.
Same.
Maybe
And
an
this
M2.
is why I look at an M2 as the only other. It reminds me of a notchback. It reminds me of a little.
It has like an older style.
It has an older style. It has a trunk. It's a notchback. BMW gave you a fucking Fox body stuff. They gave you the M2. They gave you a big body 2-door. They gave you an M3. They gave you a 4-door. They gave you a G80. They gave you a performance pack. They gave you a comp. They gave you a freaking SUV with that motor. They gave you everything you wanted. And what did Ford give us? They gave us an untunable 24 Mustang. So, of course, people are going to go, what's that over there? The M2. Look, I was driving home and I heard something burping and I'm like, what the hell is that noise? M2, low, black wheels, looked wide body-ish, exhaust.
It might have been stock because it looks like it has.
This thing was loud and it was whistling and doing all this.
Like the body of it, it has that look to it.
Okay, so the body might be, okay, the body's stock, but the wheel offset was mint. The exhaust, it was blue, shiny, pretty, making all the right noises. Stick shift. I went, stick shift. So I'm like, oh my God, that thing, I get it. Yeah. Like I was like, I just tool around in that thing.
And rear-wheel drive too.
And it reminded me of a notchback. I go, that's a little notch. It's the smallest version you can get an S58 in. And I was like, they gave you everything you wanted in every package imaginable. Ford just gave you the same S550 with a different nose. And you're like, of course people are going to look over there and go, yeah, I want that. So then people just buy an F150 because that's their other option.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now. I feel the same way. That's why I bought the Supra. Was like, what car would I get? Got that. F150's. Like, there's nothing else in that price range where I feel like it's like, oh, it's worth it. Like,
I wouldn't get a Chevy. Chevy's had major issues with their V8s.
I'm not a Chevy guy at all.
Pistons flying off the base, like bad. So the Coyote Gen 4 or 5, which is the newest one, I don't think you're going to have an issue with it. I think you're going to get good miles per gallon. You'll be shocked how good miles per gallon you're getting. This is getting good miles per gallon. It's a comfortable daily. It's like the modern station wagon. And if in the future it becomes tunable, slap a blower on it, and there's your 10-second truck that you can just drive anywhere. Or a low 11-second truck. Yeah. And it's like that. That's why I think Ford goes, we're not going to fuck with the Mustang too much. If they want to do other stuff, we got 17 versions of the F-150. We got a 2.7 EcoBoost. We got a 3.5 EcoBoost. We got a 5-liter. We got a Raptor R. We got a 253. That's the optioned vehicle. Mustang isn't.
Yeah, I'm still like, in my head, I'm like, damn, there's got to be something that's less than 100,000. I think that's it.
E-Ray's the only one. And the more I look at it, the more I like it. But it doesn't set off emotion. The performance does. I go, oh. Not the look, the performance. I'm like, that is badass. Like people that don't know much, they'll say the Z06 is better because of the flat plane crank. I'm like, what does that mean? In your mind, what does that mean? To have a flat plane crank is better. This one is quicker. This one is all-wheel drive. This one is cheaper. Why is it better to have a flat plane crank? What is it going to do for you? Except the sound. And it's the sound. They just go, oh man, this thing has a flat plane crank. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean to you?
There's this other podcast that literally every clip is why a Z06 is better than any other supercar or whatever. It's like they talk about Z06 every single podcast, how it's like the best car ever.
But the E-Ray is better, almost in every metric.
Every clip, it's like, dude, it's like a Z06 podcast. It's like ridiculous. You hear things like that. Like, why is it better? Or flat plane. Yeah,
flat plane crank. Okay, well, what does that mean? It's flat plane. It goes like this. And I was like, no, but you need to explain to me as if why it's better because it has no torque. Like flat plane crank vehicles generally don't have any torque. A GT350 feels lazy as hell under 5,000 RPMs. Lazy as hell. That's why it needs 8,200 RPMs. The factory rev limiter is 8,200. So it feels good. So people go, flat plane crank. What does that mean? It means nothing to me. What makes that car special is the 12.5 to 1 compression, the cylinder heads, the cams, and the RPMs. But if you would put a cross plane crank, GT500, with the same shit, it's going to be more torque and desirable, and you won't be saying flip. Have you ever heard anyone go cross plane crank? Like no one's ever said that, right? Oh, this thing's got a cross plane crank, and you're like, no one's ever said that. But flat plane crank, for whatever reason, has people believing that it's something that it isn't.
It's just a sound.
It's a sound. Don't get me wrong. A good sounding car is nice, but again, that's why the RHO argument, the real high output Hurricane, the HO Hurricane, is a better motor than any Ram V8 that came in any truck ever in history, except the TRX. That's the only one that's like, okay, V8 badass, but the RHO straight 6 turbo, tunable today, come on, it's not even close. But they're somehow excited to release the V8 in it because of the sound. Could you imagine people are buying cars because of the sound, even though it performs worse? It performs worse.
I mean,
Oh, you an RB guy because of the RB? Oh, bro, the RB. So wait. I gotta talk about that. So I don't know anything about the RB platform, but you got away from the S58 to RB swap it so that it would.
I got B58.
Oh, sorry, B58. Okay, why get rid of that for an RB? Is it the sound, purely the sound?
100%. Like, just to be honest, like, it's a sound. I'm not even trying to think.
I appreciate that.
And be like, trying to be delusional. No, it's better. Like, no, I just think it's sound. I think it looks better. Okay. And which is kind of weird because
it is. It's less busy.
Less busy. The valve covers. Honestly, the RB probably is one of the best looking motors out of any other JDM motor to me. Okay. Like just the valve covers, RB26, not the 25. Okay. But sound, looks, and I think that's pretty much it, honestly. I'm not going to sit here and try to be delusional and be like, oh, it's everything. But it's just sound and looks, honestly. I think it's very fitting for that car. Like, I think that motor in that car with the body lines and everything, I think it fits pretty well. It's interesting you say that because one of the best sounding Mustangs ever is one of the weakest, the 3-valve. The 3-valve sounds fantastic. The 2-valve sounds fantastic. The mufflers are mid-mounted in a 2-valve. The 3-valve has the mufflers in the back. But for whatever reason, whether it's the firing order, cylinder head design, cam, whatever, it sounds great. The Coyote sounds good, but most of the douchebags that put Borla below my ears a ways in the car with a straight pipe,
everyone thinks that's how it sounds. Oh, it sounds like shit because of that. No, MagnaFlow Adult Series, the Street Series. I say the Adult Series. MagnaFlow Adult Series exhaust, X pipe, and some headers, and you're done. And if you want to keep the cats, keep the cat. It sounds wonderful, but everyone's been sold the louder is better, so they get the Borla attacks and the aggressive, stupid.
Sounds so like it's so annoying.
Right. And then you
like
go,
it's annoying.
And then you hear these, LS guys like, one of the worst things I've ever heard is a straight pipe Mustang. And I'm like, not every Mustang straight pipe sounds like that. So then you hear like the Gray Goose, Blue Goose, that car. The clip on Instagram, you should hear this thing. People
it sounds
go,
good.
People go, is that an LS?
Yeah.
And I go, what the fuck out of here? It's a Coyote. And they're like, no way, not sounding like that. Yes, it does. It sounds fantastic.
Sounds really good, yeah.
And that is I don't even know what kind of exhaust, but it is not like Borla, attack, or kill the ears, nothing. It's Adult Series. So I understand the sound aspect, and maybe that's why people want to buy a Dodge truck with a V8 to keep the sound. But
but the performance isn't bad on the RB either if you build it.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm just saying because you mentioned like people would sacrifice something just to have less performance, right? So I knew if I was going to put an RB in the car, it was going to have the performance active. It's going to be fully built to the T, of course. How long it's going to last, who knows?
Are they less reliable than S58, B58? Sorry,
that's a good question. Now people would be like crazy for
generally. Because the B58, S58 stock is stout.
Okay, if you're saying stock for stock, a B58 of course is going to be way more by far more reliable.
Okay.
Stock. But when you start putting power into it and trying to build it, you have to. But honestly, that's not even true either because you have to. What do you have? Oil pump gears?
Yeah.
For a Mustang?
Yeah.
Does it mean it's a shitty platform because of that?
No.
Once you assess the issue,
pretty good.
So once you assess the oil issues with the same thing, actually.
Really?
Yeah, oil pump. The gears they break, they shatter.
So they put billet ones in there.
Billet ones, exactly.
And then RB or B58 we're talking
RB.
about. Okay.
RB. So it's kind of similar. There's other things you have to do too. Block off oil galleries in the block and stuff like that. But once you figure out the oil and you're good, it'll live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm kind of blown away that I see some podcasts and other people talk about like, this stock motor holds 15,000 horsepower. And I'm like, okay, we know some people can make some power for how long, who knows. But I generally don't know the deficiencies of some of the platforms that would make it desirable or undesirable. But I see a lot of people running a certain number with a S or B58 and then RB not so much. But you say mostly because we never got it. Right here.
Yeah.
We never got it. 100%. So that people aren't aware. We got the 2J here, 2J, and people are like, well,
which is great. And honestly, it's a better motor. Like technically,
Did that hurt? It looked like your face was like
I feel like people
fuck, it's better motor.
People just feel like it's like they think you're delusional. It's like, oh, why would you put that? Why? It's always the why would you do something like that?
Well, there's an internal struggle with Mustang guys like Dinosaur 4.6, 5.4, 5.8 guys swear to God that motor is better than the Coyote because one guy one time went fives with it.
Oh, well, that's not the case with the RB, but I feel you.
Okay, right.
These guys are running sixes with the RB platform.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. So
it sounds great.
Yeah.
The way they chop is pretty nice. And I'm like, this is pretty. So I understand the sound aspect, but I became a Coyote fan because of right off the rip, it can make power and it's literally no modifications except boost, which you have to save up for. And a lot of people say, well, why can't I work my way up to something? And I'm like, because the cost per output, it's just not worth it. I would just wait. F-150, chill, do your thing. Podcast hits 1 million subs, right? And then all of a sudden, bam, here's a Whipple or twin turbos. And you're like, I'm doing good. Honestly, I think you're in a good spot if you get a brand new one because, terms are better, financing's better, interest rate's better. It's still a Coyote.
Yeah.
So I think you can get into one quad cab, not a short bed, regular cab, and be happy for years. And then once you throw boost at it, whether it's a Whipple, a ProCharger, whatever you want to throw in there, I think at 10 PSI on pump gas, you'll be so happy. You're like, I don't need anything. I got my Supra if I want to go fast and fuck around. So this will be my day.
Yeah, just a toe.
That's what they say. I started looking at superchargers for the Escalade, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be good. And I'm just like, shut the hell up. What are you doing? I looked at Brembo brakes. I looked at blowers. I'm like, stop. It's a sickness. It's a sickness, and I understand it because I have it. So it's just a matter of, tamping it down and knowing that, you know, you're crazy for doing this. And I'm growing up because I understood that racing had no future in it for me. Like there's nothing but broke bank accounts with 100%. When it comes to racing. Because first, why are you racing? Right? I sat down one time. I'll be honest, I had a come to Jesus moment. I'm like, why am I racing? Who am I trying to impress? Are those people my peers? Am I satisfied after a race weekend? And everything was no. Everything was no. And I went, who are my peers? Who are the people I want to hang out with? The garage we're in right now was a guy that used to race all the time. Stopped racing. Now he has a pretty badass garage, right? And you're like, I wonder if this can be, you know, something similar, because you have to don't get me wrong, he'd probably race tomorrow if he could. Let's go racing, fuck it. But it's one of those things where you're just like, it's not like I'm not chasing something.
Yeah.
Am I trying to be the man? For who? For Facebook? For some group? Like who? I said, nah. And then when I started building cars to go on the street, like I have a GT500, and that was an all-out race car. Turbo 400, parachute, da-da-da-da. I made it into a street car, and I could drive that sucker every day. Makes about 800 wheel right now, maybe 9. And I could catch a race. And it's temperature's good, manual now instead of a turbo 400. And I'm like, this is fun. I could take it out on a cool night and do my thing, catch a race here and there, park it back in the garage, and I'm good.
Yeah.
As opposed to tow it somewhere, race. I don't know. Some people just, I get it. Maybe it's their business. Maybe the engine builders, chassis builders, whatever. But I saw the future in racing wasn't for me, and I got into more street car stuff. You can catch more races just messing around on the street here in Palm Beach County, and it was more satisfying for me. So that's when I started kind of seeing me kind of distancing my way from the hardcore racer.
Yeah.
So, and believe it or not, as a tuner, I hate to say I'm preachy, but I am. I'm like, what are you doing? What do you want to do? And they're like, well, I just want to go 7s. And I'm like, why? For who? And they're like, I don't know. I thought that's just the logical next step. And I'm like, based on who? And they're like, fuck, you're right, man. Let's just build it to go 850s. I'm like, there we go. And they go 850s to a test and tune and drive it home. And they're happy as shit. And I'm like, if you can't do that in a modern vehicle, meaning have it do everything it can do and be as quick as possible, it becomes less desirable for people. So right now you can only do certain things on the newer platforms or nothing. So they just stick to the old stuff or build old stuff. You know, it's one of those things where based on my experience, there's been a lot of evolutions as to why I want a vehicle, sound, performance, this and this and that. Honestly, I want really fast street cars. Really fast street cars I'd love to have a 800 to 1,000 horsepower street car with AC.
Full street car, yeah.
Pump 85 and be a happy cat. And if you want to tow your car 500 miles away and race for 4 days and come back $10,000 leaner in your pocket, God bless you. It's just not something I want to do. So it took a lot of like maturing sort of to kind of figure that out. And I don't know where we're going with this, but it was one of those things where I see people chase something that they didn't even know why they're chasing. And I think they do that with platforms.
Yeah.
They want to be the next, I've met people that were fast on one platform. Everyone hated him because he was a douchebag, right? And then he completely left that platform and went to this platform that nobody knew him. And he became a douchebag there too. And I went, what do you do? What's the goal? Just to be the douchebag of every platform? It was odd to me. So I was just like, I'm not looking to impress anybody in any platform. I'm looking to have fun. And I'm a simple dude. I'd love to have fun, go out, blow off some steam, come back home, car still running. I'm a happy cat.
I think that should be everybody's goal. And I think that's why I also love Australia a lot too, because everything's like street cars over there. They're big on like having street cars.
Australia.
Big on that.
If it don't drive on the street, it ain't shit.
Yeah, no,
right?
but even their
the race car stuff is on the street?
Even like the world's fastest RB.
The black one?
The black one, it's a street car. Like windows, everything.
It looks like a car.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a machine.
Right.
And that to me is desirable. And they're good at doing that over there. Like they have like crazy rotaries and crazy,
they have massive,
big, blowers sticking out of the hood, but they drive them.
Yeah.
They drive them somewhere. And I'm like, that's desirable to me. Don't get me wrong. I was one of those guys that I thought I wanted to go and just campaign all over the country. And I'm like, for what? Who am I going to impress?
No.
I've met people that have campaigned on these racing events and nobody knows their name. Nobody knows who they are. They're winners too. They're very good. They're very good at the craft. But I'm like, why'd you do that? for you? And they're like, I don't know. I just thought it was the next logical step, so I did it. I'm like, wow. And I get it. You can get caught. It's like getting caught in a wave, and you're like, I guess I'm gonna ride it because I'm caught in it, as opposed to stopping and going, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then going, all right, do I want to do this or not? The thing that you're doing is great because it's gonna be like unique to you. The sound you're gonna like. People are gonna be like, wow, you could promote it, you could enjoy it. It's a platform that you like. You like how the engine looks. People might say you suck. You know, you're doing something stupid, but fuck them.
Yeah, that doesn't really bother me.
Really? No, but do people say it? Well, I don't know why you're doing that. Why don't you put a 2J in there to Toyota? At least
yeah. No, I got a ton of the 2J stuff, but honestly, like, chances are those people who say that could not afford to put an RB in a Supra.
You know, interesting you say that.
And I'm not even saying that just to talk shit about,
right.
But you know, because it's expensive. It's hurting my pockets a lot. However, the sacrifice has already been made. So it's like,
where are the fastest and best racers at a racetrack?
Where are they?
Where are they? When you go to a racetrack, where are the best racers located at a racetrack? The best ones. In the stands.
Oh, okay.
I got one of those in the garage. I used to be faster than that guy.
See,
I'm
like, wait,
that car ain't shit. Back in my day, I used to, every single time you go to online is the new stands. That car sucks. Then you look at his profile picture, you start going like, this dude lives in literally a trailer. And you're like, and then you go, okay, do I punk him or do I go? And you're like, no, he is the guy in the stands. Growing up, every guy in the stands would show up to watch racers race, but he would swear to God he is the baddest MF on the planet. That's the guys online right now. And then, you know, they'll try to make fun of your situation like they know your situation, but they don't. And they're just frustrated. They're not in the game. They're like, boo, like baseball. The fans are like, boo, you suck. And I'm like, bro, you try to hit this.
Yeah, you're not in the game.
Exactly. Yeah. That's it. They're not in the game, so they're gonna hate from afar. And honestly, if you don't got haters, you're not doing anything.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. I wish I looked at everything that way with the car, but it is what it is, man. Like, I don't know. Most people aren't going to do it, like I said. So
you know what's going to probably happen with you? If you do get an F-150, you're going to end up in a Mustang sooner or later. You're going to go, damn, this truck is
no way.
Truck is nice. This truck is nice.
I would get a GT500. That's the only Mustang I would ever get.
This truck is nice. I wonder
what a GT500 would feel like. Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder what a GT would look like. Feel like a Boss 302. Ooh, Boss 302. Solid axle. You hit a curb, the thing just switches a lane. Come on.
500. It'd have to be a GT500. I think I told you that.
Yeah, you said you'd F with one of these.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it. I get it, but
it's a beautiful car.
Yeah, but like it's an S550.
Yeah, but like
it's an S550. Everything bolts on.
I have a GT500 though.
No, you're right. You're right.
But
so do I, but I don't look at it as some badass thing. I go, I have a GT and a GT500, and I go, I like both because they look the same. I could swap engines, I could swap transmissions.
Or I can get a Shelby.
That's the same thing.
Like a Shelby F-150 or something like that.
Don't do that. Please don't do that. There is nothing special about a Shelby F-150.
Honestly, yes, there is.
What? The badge?
The front end.
That's
beautiful.
Is it worth $20,000, $30,000?
If there's a way to put it on the car, if there's a way like
you think in your heart of hearts, if you buy a Shelby F-150, that it is special over a regular F-150.
If you see a regular F-150 pull up next to a Shelby, which one are you going to take?
Wait. If I see a Shelby F-150 next to a regular F-150,
a regular one, yeah.
What am I doing with it?
No, what do you mean what you're doing?
What am I doing with it?
Look-wise, I'm talking about presentation. Like when you see the two together.
I hate Shelby stuff. I hate it. I hate the badging. I hate the snake. I hate the stripes.
I think it looks.
I'm a hater. I'm a Shelby #1 hater. Sorry, man. I'm a Shelby hater. Like, so if it's Shelby American, they put that stupid logo on socks. They put it on luggage. They put it on Hawaiian shirts. I don't give a fuck about Shelby badging stuff. When I look at an F-150, I go, that's an F-150. What? You think Carroll Shelby
They don't give you the same bumper, though.
It's a bumper. Buy a bumper later. Why don't you just buy a Shelby? Why don't you save $30,000 and just buy a Shelby F-150 bumper and put it on? You know
Nah,
the VIN
people-
number. You know the VIN number comes back as F-150. It doesn't come back as Shelby. It's like, well, you got a Shelby, but it's a Shelby.
I know I sound crazy right now. There's people in the comments like this. Tukes is bugging, but yeah, nah.
Look, I get it. When you look at it, you go, it's different looking and it has an aggressive look. I get it.
Just looks.
But when I see a Shelby F250 diesel, I go, what Shelby? You know, it's just you guys tacked on $30,000 by putting 3 logos on it. I'm not really a Shelby hater because Shelby's gonna call my boss and go, you know, this son of a bitch has to get fired. But but that would be a feather on my cap. Oh, that'd be a feather on my cap if Shelby called my boss. But I just don't see anything special about the F-150 variant because it's the same.
Just looks. That's just a bumper. That's the only thing.
Okay, so why don't you buy a Mustang and put a Shelby bullshit on it?
That's not the same thing though.
Oh, what do you mean?
Nah.
It's exactly the same thing as the F-150.
Nah, it's not the same thing. Nah, it's not the same thing. The F-150 is the truck is badass.
All right.
It looks good. Paint matched everything, like, you know.
Paint matched.
You gotta paint match everything. You
I hope they paint match it for $30,000.
Yeah, no, 100%. You don't get that crap, that plastic shit. You get that like the nice paint match.
I would support. I would be happy for you if you got a Shelby F-150. I just personally would not. Alejandro Flores would not buy a Shelby F-150. That's all.
I'd have to buy one and then pull up to his house and surprise him.
Well, you'd
and
have
see
to.
his reaction.
Well, apparently in the internet, I live in a 1-1. I live in a can apparently, so you'd have to find the can I live in on the ground and be like, hey, kick the can and I'll come out and take a look at the car. No, I think back to your original talking point about buying an F-150. It's probably the best vehicle you can buy. It's so utility, and if you ever in the future want to go racing with it, you can. Even if it's a quad cab. It's a Coyote, it's a 10R80.
Who's racing a quad cab though?
Midnight. Midnight Performance had a 9-second, if I'm not mistaken, quad cab twin turbo truck. It was
twin turbo.
Done. Well, talking racing.
And 9-second twin turbo?
I think it was 9-second twin turbo. I think there've been 8-second quad cab trucks. High 8. Twin turbo though. Like Plasma Man, built motor, 30 P, stupid.
9-second. Do I really want to go 9-second in the truck?
It doesn't feel fast. It's slow. It feels slow. It's big. It's just the wind resistance. It's weird, but it's not, oh my God, it's scaring me. 11's in a Fox body, you think you're going to die because it's just rattling and slow.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. But F-150 is like, it's fast, but it's not like scary fast. It's fun actually because it's so big.
Low nines?
I mean, 30 PSI.
Oh, okay. Let's say low nines is pretty, it'd be pretty impressive.
Really fast. Yeah, I probably wouldn't want to go low nines in a truck. It's just a square brick going down I probably would.
Well, we don't even know how fast Midnight those guys are going either, right?
No.
They never
Oh, no.
posted any
Those are
times.
different level. Those are guys going
But
eights on
they
the
don't
street.
run quarters though. They don't run quarter
No, they
miles
run
times.
eighth. So you can kind of like make the
They posted
correlation.
times?
Well, they post draggy, and you know how draggy is.
So what are their 8th mile times?
550,
Okay, so what does a 550 do in the quarter?
8 something, 870, right? And some have posted low fives, 5.3, 2.
Which is like low 8s?
That's a high 7. That's a high 7 on the street with a truck. Dude, it's, again, not the quad cab. I'm talking, full build RCSB. So, yeah, when they post a draggy of like a 5.2 in the 8th, you're like, ugh. That's like a 790.
That's fast. Might have to get a truck built by midnight, man. Might have to send my truck over there and see.
Every truck I see come out of there where they campaign it's deadly fast. Whether it's a stock computer truck or a full build fuel tech or whatever, it's pretty damn fast. So they got that game locked.
Just gotta have that money.
Yeah. You just get more sub and you should be good to go.
Yeah. This has been a great and fantastic conversation once again.
Thank you.
Hopefully we spoke about a lot of things that people wanted to know this time.
Mm-hmm.
I know last time it was more general stuff and obviously a little bit about your background and so on. We did speak about fuel too.
Yeah, I try to stay away from a lot of ethanol conversations because they can get misconstrued and stuff.
Right.
But I try to be very specific about applications that I've seen where, this is what it requires, this is the limitations. And I try to I don't say anything based off of theory. I base it off what I've seen, application, and how it works. And if I speak out of turn on that, It's rare because it's usually something I've seen that I talk about that I can say definitely seen it many times, verifiable, whether it's an injector thing, whether it's pressure thing, whether it's a pressure drop, fuel needs for boost levels like 50. Again, the 24 Mustang to me is not great because you can only put Predator 55s in it. And there's a safety factor that I'm not comfortable going past if you only have 55-pound injectors.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only injector. Why? Because Whipple has to make a emissions-friendly tune, and the only injector that is allowed to be tuned by them for CARB EO verification or whatever is the Predator 55. You can't get an ID 1000 to pass CARB. You can't get a D-Torque 95 to pass CARB. It has to be a Predator 55. And that's why they're like, well, that's all you got because it's legal, or CARB EO, and then jack up pressure and go out there and run an 8 and hopefully it doesn't blow up. And I'm like, that is crazy. It's just talking a little irresponsibly for the sake of going fast, and it's just not something I subscribe to. That's all.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I got my fuel clip out of it last one because at least we talked about something.
You should have at least 4 or 5 clips on this guy.
No, we got a lot of clips. But yeah, I appreciate your time, man.
Anytime.
And obviously for making this happen as well.
Thank him.
Yeah.
This gentleman has been very nice and generous, and I wanted you to have a comfortable, nice place to do your podcast in, because my place is junk. Like, I mean, I don't know how you fit all this stuff in my place, but I wanted you to have a nice backdrop and relaxing atmosphere to have some fun and talk car stuff.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate you for making that happen. And also, we did speak about some memberships, which you inspired me to make that happen. So hopefully, once I figure it out, I guess I'll do.
Look, this is what you guys need to do. This guy is doing something that a lot of people have tried to imitate, a lot of people have tried to copy, but he sticks with it, okay? He has done a complete world tour of learning from the time he started versus now. He knows a lot more stuff. He's investing the time. He's hustling. He's moved to an area where it's popping. And if you guys want to support him, you should become a member of this channel. And it could be something very small, but it's at least something that he can count on so he can do more of it, have more equipment, count on a monthly nut to be able to get you more content, better content. And I think that's something that you should consider because YouTube only pays so much and you don't know how the algorithm is. One day it could be this, one day it could be that. But memberships are a solid monthly thing you can count on. So I think you guys should really subscribe. I would absolutely join your shit. No problem. Here you go. But make the memberships funny. Like I could be like I don't know. Just make them fun. You should see mine. They're ridiculous. But if you make memberships, I would absolutely join just because I want to support someone who I think does good stuff.
No, I appreciate that a lot. You definitely inspired me. That conversation we had while I was setting up. And I'm like, damn, like maybe I should. People have asked about it, like I said to you. But I'm just like, I feel bad. Like I need to give something, you know, but like, I mean, some people I guess just want to support.
Exactly. Like people have literally come up to me or my show. Like, how can I support outside of YouTube so that they don't take 30%? And I'm like, I don't know. So then there's other avenues that I looked at and I'm like, how about this? And 200 people signed up like that. And I went, wow. And that's like a mortgage. And you're like, wow, what do I provide? More time, more attention. So I think if you were to explore that, I think you get a lot of support.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, man. Definitely. I was working, man. I'm like, what? No way. I didn't think about it like that.
I could definitely get the Shelby truck then. Shit, let's get the Shelby truck.
How many memberships would I need to get a Shelby truck?
Depending on the tier, 100? Easy.
100? No way.
100 people.
100 people?
Okay.
A Shelby truck?
Okay.
A Shelby truck?
No. You buying the cash or you doing the monthly nut? What are we doing?
Oh,
monthly nut. Okay, so let's say you put 10 grand down, right? And you need what? $700, $800 a month to afford a $80,000, whatever the hell it is, right? So $800 a month. If you have, how many people need to sign up at 10 or 15 bucks a month to be $800 a month? There's your math. Now, what if double or triple do that? And they just want to support because they like you. Dude, I watch your shit all the time. It's in the background. Some people say ridiculous stuff. Some people say funny stuff. Some people say factual stuff. And I go, it's entertainment. I mean, that some people pay for terrible podcasts, like on Spotify and stuff. They pay a monthly nut to listen to shit. Like, girls talking about dating and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't care. This actually is something I listen to. And if I'm able to support you, imagine we announced this, right? And you're out there and you start a membership program and immediately you get support and it changes your life. It changes what you can do. It changes the type of venue you can be in. Let's say you start a permanent podcast place where people come to you. You don't go to them. Right.
I've thought about that.
Right.
Too,
and you could fly them in. You could flew them in and do whatever they want to do. Right. And then you're like, this is a legit I'm not a traveling podcast anymore. I'd love to just build like a warehouse where people come to me and I would just do interviews and stuff like that.
You're giving too many ideas, man. No, I'm kidding.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's been done already.
But I think the support can be there for this type of platform because nobody else is doing it the way you're doing it. People have tried. I've seen the copycats. They come and go. But you've been hustling and grinding for a while, so I can't imagine people won't support you. I can't imagine. I would.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
See, I help. Even though you guys think I'm an asshole and a douchebag, I try to help people, I don't know, succeed or do better. But I've done it. People support me, and I have a tiny little channel. So I think...
You about to hit at that 100,000 soon, man.
Dude, you said that last year, and I was still in the same spot.
What do you mean? You've been doing content. It's been a year now, right?
Yeah, but I don't gain like 10,000 a month. No, if it's like 500, it's a lot.
Anymore, yeah.
Yeah,
I think right now it's just tough with the car stuff. Yeah.
I think you'll get a lot of support, more than you think. Just give it a shot, because if you're getting those type of views, people watch, people support, people like you. You're not abrasive. I'm abrasive, and people still support me. So imagine if you're not abrasive. Like, I like
brutally honest. That's all.
Hey, they like it.
Well, thank you so much, man. And for the people who are watching this for the first time and they're not familiar with who you are, of course, can you just let them know where to find you?
Sure. You can find me on youtube.com/50Alex, FIVEOHALEX, or just type in YDBT. YDBT, just type that in anywhere and I'll show up. You also can go to Patreon, patreon.com/YDBT. And that's kind of at Instagram. I don't want you hitting me up on Instagram. Fuck all that. richprince.com/YDBT. You can get these in red, brown, green, long sleeve, short sleeve. Yeah, and just wear it at your favorite track next time you go. Any event, go wear these.
There you guys have it. Alex Flores, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are watching the premiere, make sure you guys hit that like button. And also, if memberships are up on this video, I'm not sure if they will be yet, make sure you guys hit that membership to subscribe.
Memberships? Yes.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. We'll see.
Let's do it.
Also, make sure you guys head over to streetalpha.co to purchase some merch. And if you are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or all streaming platforms, continue to listen. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Peace.
See you later.